Melvin J. Penske representing the applicants. This is an application to transfer an existing license. The license was transferred into this location, was a BD7 there for a while, and made it a D. And the two gentlemen here have experience. They've been working down in the Federal Hill area, the Stalking Horse, for a bunch of years, and into Roadwalk Tavern. They have got a letter from the Community Association of Approval, South Golden. Okay. Can I give it to you, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah. Go ahead.
That's the letter from the association in their favor. They're not asking for anything more than transfer of the existing license. If you want, I'll put the individuals on.
All right, swear the witnesses.
Raise your right hands, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Question, where is this coming from? This
It was
license?
there.
Oh, it's already there.
Existing license.
Okay.
You
Same
remember They
location.
switched licenses about 3 months ago. Their BD7 went up to the Magic Place, what is it?
Silver Falcon?
Yeah.
Banditos?
Banditos, and this is a 6-day they came in. So they actually downgraded the license here, and now they're selling the license to these individuals. Andrew, you want to state your name and address?
Yes, I live on 1137 Light Street, right in Federal Hill. My name's Andrew Clem.
And your experience in the businesses that you've been working in the alcoholic beverage business for the past 10 years?
Yes, I worked for the McFall Group at Walk and Stalking Horse for 10 years through college.
And then you're going to operate the same way it's operated, is that correct?
Yep.
You're familiar with the people in the neighborhood, you've met with them?
Yeah, we met with the community. We agreed to open communication. They were in full support.
Yeah. And you'll take the alcohol awareness course and get certified?
Actually, I think my certification is through 2017.
Okay, that's fine, that's
And
fine.
there are two other bartenders in the building that have it as well.
Okay,
So.
I have no further questions.
All right, commissioners' questions?
Where's the MOU?
I'll give you that.
Mm,
And is it signed?
That's existing, it's the previous MOU.
Yeah. We agreed to sign the same MOU that was already in place, so.
That's what they're referring to it. Oh, I don't know, I just got
That should be the
this morning.
scanned and signed copy,
Okay.
if you just look on the last page.
And we can keep this?
All right,
I'm just wondering, are you all aware that you're dressed identically?
No, we didn't plan.
You didn't plan it?
Did not plan.
Stop it. Really?
Oh, no, we'll record it.
I can't, I don't know if even if you have legs, but. Charcoal, okay.
I borrowed.
A little levity, just a little levity. Mel, it's okay to laugh.
Well, Air Director,
all right,
right,
file
thank you.
Exhibit 1,
All right.
MOU Exhibit 2, they're offering here today Exhibit 3. Any other questions?
now, you want to give your name and address for the record, please?
Jesse Sulky, 1338 Banyan Circle.
And you are the other applicant licensee, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
The one that's dressed alike. In addition to that, you've also had experience working in Federal Hill, and you're presently employed as the Anne Arundel County Fire Department. Is that correct? I have no further questions.
Any questions, Commissioner?
May I ask the board to approve the
Wait a minute.
transfer? I'm sorry.
So you live in Baltimore
Mhm.
City,
Yep.
and you do not?
I do not.
Okay.
Yeah, I've lived in Federal Hill for 3.5 years, almost 4.
Any other questions?
Not for me.
All right, time for decision. I vote yes.
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 You have our decision.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take, good luck.
Call the next case. Okay, hold it.
The next case is James Collins, trading pending, 3943 Arlington Avenue. I have a postponement request on this board from both the licensee and the community.
Is there any objections? Heard, case postponed.
I don't have any objection, but I think an issue that we'll need to explore is the validity of the license when it does come in. Okay.
We'll handle it when we get to it.
Okay.
Call the next case.
The next case is Stephen Root and Alexander Heidenberger, Baltimore Buddies LLC, trade name Cask and Grain. This is at 2821-23 O'Donnell Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. An application to expand premises to include 2823 O'Donnell Street for business.
All right, do you want to enter your appearance?
Good morning, Your Honor. Joe Woolman on behalf of the applicant.
And do you have testimony?
I'd like to proffer, if the board would accept the proffer at this juncture. My client is to my right. He can answer any questions the board may have regarding
And your
the
client's
operation.
name?
Client's name is Steve Roop. He's the primary applicant and will be the operator of the expanded premises. I would submit, which I think the board already has within its file, both a memorandum of understanding from two community associations, both the Canton Community Association as well as the Canton Square Homeowners Association. The Canton Square residents live directly behind this location. I'll submit another copy for the record.
All right.
I also have
I don't see it in my file. Maybe it's in the main file.
We don't have copies.
All right.
had
Exhibit
confirmation from your executive secretary that they had everything in the file earlier this week,
one.
but,
And also the file Exhibit 2.
okay, well, I'm glad I
We
brought
have it in the file.
Okay,
This
great.
is not in their exhibits.
All righty.
All right, let me give it to you when you're finished.
I also have a letter of support from the O'Donnell Square Business District Association in support of the application. And again, I believe this is in the file, but I have a copy of the floor plan for the
See it first.
for the
Is that
restaurant.
part of the exhibit?
Yes. Yes.
All right. Exhibit, I believe, 3 or 4, I don't know. Go ahead, sir.
Your Honor, I'll merely proffer that this is a request for expansion as noted by the Executive Secretary. Some of you may be familiar with the Alonzo's Loco Hombre operation on Cold Spring Lane. This is sort of a similar concept. This is an expansion of an existing business. It's an expansion into the premises next door for a restaurant, a farm-to-table restaurant. There was actually an article in the Baltimore Business Journal yesterday about this restaurant. It's received wide support from the community. Again, Mr. Roop is standing to my right. He'll be operating the restaurant. He's available to answer any questions you may have. I would submit that this application and the support it's received meets the standards found in the Liquor Code under Article 2B. And with that, I'd submit it this time.
So you have no opposition that you know of?
That is correct.
All right, questions, Commissioner? If you have questions of the witness, I'll have them sworn.
I don't have any questions.
All right, then the time for decision is here. I vote yes.
Yes.
You have our unanimous decision.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, call the next case, if he's ready.
This case is Brent Fuller and Ken Dolpan and Melissa Fuller. This is at 737 Carroll LLC, Shakers, 737 Carroll Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, liquor license, and application to transfer ownership.
My name is Brent Fuller. This is Ken Donathan, and I'll be the manager of what's to be Shakers. It is currently
All right,
James.
swear the witnesses.
Raise your right hand, please. You swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
This is just a transfer of ownership, the same location? All right, your name, sir?
My name is Brent Fuller.
Okay, I'd be glad to hear from you.
Yep, so we lived in the neighborhood for a long time around the corner. We lived in Hampstead, kept my properties in Baltimore City. Saw this Cavern Jigs come up for sale, and so we put in an offer to purchase it. We'd like to add food. It's currently just for liquor.
You like to
service.
add food,
Yes.
that you're saying?
Yep.
Is that on your application?
Yes.
It is?
And I have a copy of the menu and some other things. If you want.
Okay, well, you want to submit it, or what, it's your case. Tell us what you want.
Yeah, let's provide the initial menu too.
Okay,
It is a cold menu for now because there's not.
that's
current-
down in Pigtown.
Yes,
sure.
that's correct.
Mhm.
So we met with the community. There's no opposition that we're aware of. They're installing.
You met with whom,
The community board several months in a row.
and what was it called?
The community, the Pigtown well, there's two groups we actually met with. One is Pigtown Main Street, run by Ben Hyman. He's on board for this. And also the Citizens of Pigtown group, which is, the president of Pigtown and the vice president of the whole community. And we presented our business case, and they're all in agreement.
One was Pigtown Main Street, and what was the other one?
The Citizens of Pigtown.
Citizens of Pigtown, okay. All right, anything else, sir?
No.
All right, questions, commissioners?
Do you have any letters of support from either one of those organizations?
Yes,
you met with?
yes, they should be in your file.
All right, we'll introduce the file as Exhibit 1. which contains the letter, is that correct? Mhm. Okay, he's given me, that's in the file.
Yes, sir.
There should also be a floor plan in that file as well.
It's also, it's part of the application.
Okay, excellent.
Excuse me, do you have anything for Pigtown Main Street?
Oh, no, I don't have
This
it.
No, just for the citizens of Pembroke.
All right. Any other testimony? All right. Questions, commissioners?
None?
All right. Do you have anything you wish to say, sir?
Other than.
And your name?
Ken Donathan.
And you're one of the licensees,
Correct.
and you've been sworn. What would you like to say?
Basically, right now I live in Carroll County, self-employed, been self-employed with the business for over 15 years. Born and raised in Baltimore City prior to going into the Navy, so very familiar with the area, community, and so I understand the neighborhood.
All right. Questions, commissioner?
The other gentleman, do you live in Baltimore City?
I don't anymore. I own property in my name in Baltimore City. I have rental properties in Baltimore City as well. In Ridgely's Delight, the neighborhood next to Pigtown.
Where do you live?
I live in Hampstead as well.
In Hampstead?
Yes.
So who's going to be present and running this
That's a
establishment?
good question. Derek Vaughn is the person who'll be running it. He owns a restaurant currently, and we have a profit sharing agreement with him on running the restaurant.
Can you talk to us a little louder so we?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Derek Vaughn is the person, he's on the application as being an operator.
He spells his name V-A-U-G-H?
That's correct.
N.
He currently runs the Corner Bistro and Wine Bar in Ridgely's Delight right around the corner. And you could look that up on TripAdvisor. It's very well rated.
And so is he going to leave that job and then come over to you all?
He has a whole transition plan in place for, well, he'll be spending half his time there and half his time there and using and expanding his staff also.
Because it's going to be very important to have someone who's present at the bar
Absolutely.
and managing it. We've seen horrendous results when there are absentee owners, and y'all are absentee owners. So you've got a person who has an interest, who is going to be operating, but it'll be very important that he be hands-on and present and aware of what's happening, especially in Pigtown, because it's close. Their residences, I don't know exactly where your location is, but I would assume that there are residences nearby, and I wouldn't want you to have to come back for
There are.
any negative reason.
I know where it is.
And so to those concerns, I actually work at BWI, and so I pass by every day on the way to work. So I plan on, and I also own rental property, so I'm always down in the neighborhood. I go to all the community meetings for both Ridgely's Delight and Pigtown. So it's not like I'm absentee out, not paying attention. I'm always around for these things. And I understand the need to oversee this. Like the bar that's there currently, you have drug activity outside and everything, and it's not managed, and it has an absentee landlord that lives in the other side of Baltimore City. And that's exactly what the neighborhood doesn't want, and that's what we'll be changing about the location.
Excellent, because you become responsible for all of that.
Oh, I understand.
Both of
Sure.
you.
Yep, I understand that.
We
but
Okay.
understand the risk.
Okay,
It's
excellent.
me in the hot seat, I get that.
You're very much in the hot seat.
Yes, I understand.
Good, great.
Any other questions? If not, we're ready for decision. I vote yes.
Yes, yes.
There you have our unanimous decision.
Thank you.
Call the next, when he's ready, call the next case.
Okay, the next item is Serial Ezekiel, 25th Rolling Billiards. This is trade name Rolling Billiards at 5722 York Road. I do have a request for postponement on this from both parties, and I'm asking the board to reconsider the request.
All right, by both parties, who do you mean?
As far as both the community and the licensee.
Mhm. All right, any objection?
None.
Postpone. Pass it down, please.
The next item is Elder Kenworth and Ryan Voltg and Alex Fine, FM Baltimore LLC, trade name Family Meal. This is at 621 East Pratt Street. This is a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor license. An application for liquor license of a restaurant with a $500,000 in capital investment in restaurant fixtures, facilities, seating, and a minimum of 75 people, and also a request for outdoor table service.
Who represents parties?
I represent.
Mhm.
Chairman. Stanley Fine, and I have a file for each one of you, including the Executive Director.
All right. That's mine, or?
Yes.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Fine, you can present your case.
Stanley Fine from Rosenberg, Martin Greenberg, here today representing the applicant. With me are the three licensee applicants, Hilda Caramuz, Ryan Voltaggio, and Alex Fine.
Good morning.
If the board please, if I could proffer, that would be great. And Mr. Voltaggio will expand on one thing.
We'll swear the witnesses in.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes.
Yes.
Go ahead, sir.
This is an application for a new Class B license. It's going to be located at the power plant at 621 East Drive Street. It used to be the Houlihan's. If you're familiar with the power plant building, there was a Houlihan's right at the promenade and the frontage on the front part of the second power plant building. The first witness would be, yes, every one of you, so that there's a record. Yes. Mr. Voltaggio would be our first witness. He is half owner of this endeavor, along with Hilda Caramuz, who would be the other half owner, and Alex Fine is the Baltimore City taxpayer resident. And by the way, happens to be my nephew, just for the record. The proposal is to put a family meal restaurant concept in the former Houlihan space. It's 6,000 square feet. It's a big place. And I'd like, this is Mr. Voltaggio and Ms. Caramuz have other family meals, either open or underway, and there's a menu there, and I'd like Mr. Voltaggio just to explain to you a little bit, just by a little bit of background. Mr. Voltaggio is a Top Chef runner-up and was featured on Bravo Network and has other restaurants along with Caramuz around the state of Maryland, D.C., and soon to be in Virginia. So and I'll turn it over to him.
Okay, good morning. So Family Meal is a restaurant that we started in Frederick, Maryland about 3 years ago, and it's a family-style restaurant. It serves breakfast, lunch, and dinner, so all 3 meal periods. It's very approachable, it's family-oriented. That's why we chose this harbor location, because of the fact that it's on the promenade and there's a lot of tourism, and we truly believe that this restaurant would be a really great asset and a good fixture in the area. Family Meal is about local, sustainable, and organic ingredients. It's about family-style dining. It's a shared experience. It's one that we essentially opened for ourselves. We have young families, and so we want to have really great food in our neighborhood. And this is something that we're expanding on now. We plan to take this concept into Ashburn, Virginia, as well, and Richmond, just for reference. And so. Family Meal is, like we said, it's a very approachable price point, approachable cuisine, and its proximity to all the tourism in downtown and the harbor area. We think it'll be a great success.
All right, questions, commissioners?
Might continue.
Wait a minute.
I'm sorry, excuse me.
Not at this point. Not for me.
Well, my usual question, what new money has gone into this location?
There is $309,000 of new money. It's in your file, and it's the actual budget. If you, this is the actual new money. It's further on in your file.
Okay.
There's $309,000, almost $310,000 going in. The 6,000 square feet of Houlihan's, we have a contractor's estimate that it's worth just by itself $300,000 because it was a completed restaurant when they took it over. In addition, they have $249,000 worth of equipment. In addition, and they're buying $60,000 more. So they have a total of $849,000.
What happened to the old license at Houlihan?
We don't. Do you know what happened to Houlihan's? This is Mr. Fine, who works for the Cordish Company that was the landlord for Houlihan's.
I know that they vacated. I don't know what happened to the license.
Okay. All right, I have no other questions. Anybody else? She wants, or my fellow commissioner wants to delay her questions. All right, your next witness?
Mr. Battaglia would say that he has 5 other restaurants, Frederick, Washington DC, and he also has one here in Baltimore called Agio, and it's at the Power Plant Live. But he doesn't have a license. He operates under the arena license that they have at Power Plant Live. So he does have a presence in Baltimore in the form of the restaurant Agio, which is an Italian type of restaurant. There in your file are a bunch of news articles about the team and some of the restaurants. They will have a manager, Anna Wardwell, who will manage the restaurant, and all of our managers will complete the alcoholic beverage safety course. They have a policy about carding people under 30. They will obviously ask for identification if they believe you're 30 or under. And they believe, based on their experience at other family meal restaurants and their other restaurants, that they will easily meet the 51% food requirement. We feel that a new Class B license, beer, wine, and liquor, is appropriate at this location. As Mr. Voltaggio indicated, family meal offers something that you really don't have around the harbor, particularly for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You have lunch, you have dinner, but you don't have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. There are 2 office buildings right there at the power plant. A lot of employees. In fact, later on in your file, you'll see signatures of 75 people, most of whom work in the office building on top of where this restaurant would go, and the one next door where Phillips and Barnes & Noble and Hard Rock are in. So there's a lot of people who work around there, and they'll be a great source of business, as well as obviously the tourism and families that visit at night and on the weekends. We have a letter from the Downtown Partnership of support, and essentially that we'd like to submit with everything that's in our file. And if Hilda Caramuz were called, she's here, she's the other licensee, she owns 50% of the operation, and she would basically testify the same thing that Mr. Voltaggio with and Mr. Fine would indicate, that he works for the Cordish Company, which is the landlord, and he is a Baltimore City taxpayer and resident for obviously more than 2 years.
All right, I offer the file as Exhibit 1, and the Downtown Partnership is Exhibit 2. Any questions, Commissioners?
None.
Is Mr. Fine will be on the license?
Yes, to meet the Baltimore City taxpayer resident, but he also is the landlord. He represents the landlord, so he has more than a passing interest in the success of this restaurant.
So I want to raise something that's just a little confusing to me. On the application, you're required to have 3 people that attest basically to the character of the licensees. And the 3rd person who signed is Mr. Fine. And at least on the application that I have, so I'm just wondering, what do we do with that? Because I don't think that
Well,
he can attest to his own.
No, I can attest. I can sign the application. He's my nephew. I've known him his whole life, so I can attest to it.
And I'm not questioning him at all. I
I'm-
have no
the-
absolute
the-
basis.
the-
It's just the technical.
No, you're absolutely correct. I think that the problem that occurred was when the application was originally filled out by Mr. Voltaggio and Ms. Caramuz, they weren't represented. They came to the liquor board. Liquor board said, well, you need a taxpayer resident. And they ran back, got Mr. Fine on it, and I sent a letter over on Monday. They even left out some of the locations that they owned, which we clarified, because they thought they don't own anything in Baltimore City, which is true, but they operate in Baltimore City under the arena license. So I am more than happy to attest for my nephew. I've known him his whole life.
You're going to, go ahead.
Okay, all right, thank you. That was the only question I had.
All right, no other questions, and I think we're ready for any other testimony? We're ready for a decision. I vote yes.
With the adjustment, I vote yes also.
And yes, with the adjustment.
You have our decision.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I think
Thank
I
you.
put the file in, and all records are in evidence. Mhm. All right, ready? Call the next case.
Richard Chung, Bernard Rosenthal, Abraham Rosenthal, WC Unu LLC, trade name Unisaki, at Row. That is at 1702 Whitestone. This is a Class B beer wine liquor license, an application for transfer of ownership, and a request for outdoor table service.
Go ahead, hear
Once
from
again,
you.
for the record, Melvin J. Kadensky representing the applicants. This is an application, a transfer of an existing location. It's in the McHenry Row area shopping center off of Ford Avenue. Used to be the old Red Parrot that was there that has left. Mr. Chung is going to be the primary owner. He operated a place in Baltimore County known as Omisaki in Baltimore County. And he will continue to that, and he also worked at Sesquito, so he has the necessary background to operate the establishment. Along with that, and I don't know whether you've got a letter from the Locust Point. I get them like December 3rd, so. If not, I'll submit this letter, Mr. Chairman. This letter from the Locust Point Association approving the transfer. There'll be same type of operation that was in there. Mr. Chung will explain to you the type of, it's an Asian fusion restaurant. I must say, I'm not really sure what that is because, but it's good.
I could help you, but I'm not.
No.
All right, swear the witnesses, please.
Raise-
Raise your right hands, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Will you state your name and address for the record, please?
Richard Chung, 12505 Marley Drive, Bowie, Maryland, 20720.
And you're going to be the primary operator of the restaurant, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And it's going to be Asian fusion restaurant?
Yes,
And you operated one of the same type of restaurant in Baltimore County?
that's correct.
On York Road?
Yes,
And then you also moved up to another location, is that correct?
yes.
Okay. And along with that, it's going to be Asian fusion. You might want to explain what it is.
Well, it's a mix of Asian, like Korean, Thai, Japanese, and Chinese food.
Okay. Then that explains that. And you'll take the alcohol awareness course and be certified, is that correct?
I already have that, sir.
Okay. All right. I'm there for that questions this week.
Questions, commissioners?
What is your plan for how frequently you'll be at the restaurant?
I'll be there at least 50% of my time, sir.
What does that mean?
On primarily the lunch crowd is going to be busy right there at this site, so I'll be there for the most part of my lunchtime. And then in the evenings, on certain evening times, I will go up to my Cockeysville location.
Okay.
Even then, I still have my assistant manager on site.
Thank you.
Are you inside the Turner Building, or you're a separate location?
It's not in the Turner Building. You're in the McHenry.
McHenry.
McHenry Road.
He'll explain because it's
Okay.
the shopping center, the new shopping center off of Ford Avenue.
Oh, way down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Mr. Saperstein built that shopping center.
Mhm. All right, your
Who is
next,
that? Wait a minute, who's Bernard Rosenthal? Right here.
All right.
go ahead, sir.
We have Abraham, you want to take the microphone out of there?
Abraham Rosenthal, I live at 3111 Linton Road, Owens Mills.
All right.
I'm also a part owner of McHenry Row Retail Development, and the one next door, the old Phillips site. I'm in partnership with Mark Saperstein on both of those, and I will be a part owner of this restaurant.
So you'll be on the premises and
I'm there,
help out?
I'm there virtually daily.
Okay. And then you'll also take the alcohol awareness course, is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Any other questions?
All right, questions, commissioners?
The other individual is,
Wait a minute.
I'm sorry.
Oh. So you live in Owings Mills, correct?
Correct.
But you own part of McHenry Row?
I do.
Okay. And you're going to be, what is this, 49% owner of the restaurant?
25%.
I'm sorry?
25%.
Back off the mic a little bit.
Oh, sorry. 25%.
25%.
49%.
49? Okay.
Well, the
I-
application says 49%.
Yeah, I have another partner that's not here, and he and I share that 49%.
Okay, so that'll be divided in half.
Yeah.
Okay, but you work at Fort McHenry every day, is that, or at the McHenry Row
The
every
development
day?
company is called 28 Walker Development, and we own McHenry Row, and we also own the Phillips site that we're redeveloping now.
But I'm just trying to figure out how often you plan to be at the restaurant,
Oh,
whether you're
I'm,
present or
I'm,
not
I'm at,
present.
I'm at the site virtually every day.
Okay, will you go into the restaurant?
Sure,
Okay, and you'll be looking around to see
absolutely.
what's going
I
on? And
expect to eat lunch or dinner there, or both.
you feel some sense of responsibility for what's happening in the restaurant?
Sure,
Okay, that's what I wanted to hear. Thank you.
okay.
All right, follow Exhibit 1 and Locust Point Association document presented, Exhibit 2. Any other questions? If not, we're ready for a decision. I vote yes.
Well, I wanted to know the third person,
Bernard,
and who
that's
is,
his dad,
Bernard is Abraham's father,
correct.
and Bernard
He's
is,
retired from the grocery store business,
and he's a 1% owner,
correct, and he's a city resident.
and he's the person that gives you the city residency to meet.
I've been trying to get you to do away with that, but nobody wants to listen to me. I'm like a voice crying out in the desert.
I think we'll put that,
No, but
To the
the
side.
reason why I'm saying that is Baltimore County has done away with that, saying all you gotta do is a Maryland resident. And they've done away with the character references. They say if you pass the criminal background, and then it's it. Then we don't have all this. Okay.
okay.
Mark that as Exhibit 1, Exhibit 2.
Exhibit 2?
Yeah, well, it follows in 1.
Okay, files 1.
Any other questions? None? I vote for
No.
yes.
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 All right, you have our decision.
Thank you.
Good luck. All right, call, are you ready? Call the next case.
Edward Atwater, Alec Albrecht, Well Food LLC, trade name Atwaters. This is at 855 North
Morning.
West Street. This is a Class B beer, wine, liquor application for new license. And this requires $200,000 in capital investment, including restaurant fixtures, facilities, and a seating capacity of 75 people. This also requests for outdoor table service and off-premises catering.
Counsel, enter your appearance.
Good morning, Caroline Hecker, Rosenberg, Martin Greenberg on behalf of the applicant. I'm joined today by my colleague, Justin Williams, who's new with our firm. You'll probably be seeing him here with some frequency. Ned Atwater, who's the owner of Atwaters, and Alec Albrecht, who is the Baltimore City resident licensee, who's also the assistant general manager of the Atwaters at this new location. With your permission, I'd like to proceed by way of a proffer. I've handed out a folder full of some exhibits and an outline of the testimony.
Go ahead.
Mr. Atwater would testify that he is the owner of Atwaters. He and his wife each own a 50% interest in Atwaters. And as I mentioned, Mr. Albrecht is here. He is also the Baltimore City licensee applicant here, and he's the assistant general manager for this location.
And now Atwater and his wife each own 50%.
That's correct, yes.
Go ahead.
And Atwaters, you may know it, it's a Baltimore-based maker and purveyor of traditional foods, handcrafted with fresh, organic, seasonal, local ingredients. There's a menu in the file that shows their menu for this location, which is on the New East Baltimore Community PUD, adjacent to the Johns Hopkins Hospital campus in East Baltimore. This is their third location. They have a location in Belvedere Square, where they've been for about 11 years now. They recently opened a second location at Canton Crossing. They've been very successful. And this new location, their third location, opened October 1st. It's at the intersection of North Wolf Street and Ashland Avenue in a space that was formerly occupied by Cuban Revolution Restaurant and Bar. That unfortunately had not been a very successful restaurant. It went out of business after less than a year, and Atwaters has taken over their space. There's some photos in the file that show their location, showing the inside and the outside of the space that they have, as well as a floor plan. There are 156 seats at tables inside, as well as 16 seats at tables outside along Ashland Avenue. Has 172 total seats. There are 125 seats required for this license, as it is Mr. Atwater's third license in Baltimore City, so it is the heightened requirement beyond the ordinary 75-seat requirement. The outdoor seating is permitted within the New East Baltimore Community Planned Unit Development by City Council ordinance. A copy of that ordinance is included in the file. It's ordinance number 05160. Their hours of operation are Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. They are not open weekends right now. They don't have plans to open on the weekend yet. They may at some point in the future. But they're primarily an amenity for the folks who are there at the hospital during the day for breakfast and lunch, early dinners. As I mentioned, they moved into the space that was recently occupied by Cuban Revolution. They went out of business about 6 months ago, but Cuban Revolution had almost $919,000 in capital investment between them and the landlord. There's a breakdown of that in the file. Atwaters themselves has invested over $95,000 in the new space, and their construction budget is also included in the file that I passed out. So the total capital investment in this site is over $1 million, which greatly exceeds the $200,000 requirement for the new license. Based on their experience with their other locations, they don't believe that they'll have a problem meeting the 51% requirement for average daily receipts from the sale of food. They've been a successful restaurant for many years before they had any liquor licenses, and they don't believe that having the liquor license is going to cause their balance of their restaurant business to shift to alcohol. There's no plan to offer live entertainment at this location. The general manager will be Jack Temple. He's the general manager at this location now. He moved there from Belvedere Square, where he had been the assistant general manager for the last 3 years. As I mentioned, Mr. Albrecht will be his assistant general manager. Mr. Albrecht has been with Atwaters for 5 years. Mr. Atwater himself has 15 years' experience working in and managing restaurants with liquor license. He has never had a violation, and their policy is to card anyone who appears to be under 30 years old. Mr. Atwater has taken the alcoholic beverages safety training course. Mr. Albrecht will certainly take it as well. And we believe that there is a need for a new Class B license at this location. It will provide an amenity to the new East Baltimore community and complement the menu and enhance the experience of their customers. There's a petition in support of the application signed by 76 of their customers that's in your file. I believe there was only one copy of that, and I believe I gave it to the chairman, but it may have, the files may have gotten shifted a little bit. Someone has a petition up there. Mr. Atwater would testify that he is familiar with the rules and regulations of the Baltimore City Liquor Board and agrees to abide by them. As I mentioned, Mr. Albrecht has been with Atwaters for 5 years. He'll be the assistant general manager. He is also familiar with the rules and regulations of the Liquor Board and agrees to abide by them as well. In conclusion, we would request that the new Class B beer, wine, and liquor license be approved. There is a public need and desire for the license, as shown by the signatures on the petition. There are 76 signatures in support. There will not be an adverse impact on existing licensees, as there are actually no other licensees in the immediate vicinity of this site. Atwaters offers a unique menu of traditional fare made from locally sourced ingredients. It provides a uniqueness of services, and there will not be any negative impact on public health, safety, or welfare. As I mentioned, Atwaters has been widely supported by the community. Our patrons are supportive of the issuance of the liquor license, and Cuban Revolution had a liquor license there previously with no negative impacts at all. So with that, I would request that the board approve the application. And certainly, Mr. Atwater and Mr. Albrecht are present and available to answer any questions that you might have.
All right, any questions of the council?
Yes, Cuban Revolution actually closed more than 6 months ago, didn't it? It's been closed for a long time.
I thought it closed in the spring of this year.
No, I know that it closed, I'm pretty sure that it closed sometime in winter of 2014. And the reason I know is that I spoke with the then executive director of EBDI about his interest in getting
Mr. Shea?
Yeah, Chris Shea, getting someone into that site.
You may be right. That was the information that we had gotten from Forest City, which is the master developer within EBDI, but it's possible that it was actually a little bit earlier than that.
I think they gave you wrong information. And here's why I'm asking. Help me understand why this applicant is entitled to piggyback on monies spent by someone other than them.
The capital,
especially when it was at least a year or more ago that those dollars were spent.
I think the requirement is that there be a capital investment, and there was, I mean, even if it was, say, 2 years ago, that capital investment was still made. It was over $900,000, and even if there has been some depreciation in that, it certainly hasn't depreciated below $200,000, or if you consider the $95,000 that Atwaters has put in themselves, you know, it's certainly still.
I'm laboring on that one. I mean, my understanding is that the capital investment needs to be made by or on behalf of the applicant, not and especially since the prior occupant had a liquor license and presumably qualified for that license because of the expenditures that were made a year or two ago. So I don't think that you can keep using those dollars and applying them to each project. I don't think that's permissible. I don't think so. So tell me why I'm wrong, and assuming I'm right, or whether I'm right or wrong, what new monies have been spent by these applicants?
Well, if I can address that one first.
Okay.
There's a construction budget in the file that I showed you earlier that shows, let's see if I can find it here. This is, should be towards the back of your file. It's the
Okay.
construction budget for Atwaters. It's $95,712.17 that Atwaters has invested themselves.
I see Hopkins' budget. Is that the
Yes.
document I should be?
Yes.
Okay.
It's for their Hopkins location.
Okay.
That was prepared by
Because I think that's the
Atwaters.
money for Hopkins. And I'm like, wow. That's
I'm
Okay,
sorry for the
gotcha.
confusion. Yes,
Yeah.
that's money that Atwaters has spent themselves. And then the page before that in the file was the Cuban Revolution restaurant and bar construction budget, which showed a total of $918,920. Those funds were invested by both the landlord and the tenant. And I think if you're having trouble with the idea of the tenant's improvements there, looks like $309,000 that Cuban Revolution put in. But the landlord, Forest City, put in another $329,000, which I think that they should get some credit for. That money was invested in creating a great space and building out the space and improving it for a restaurant. And the first restaurant, unfortunately, didn't succeed there, but I think that investment is still valid, and they still have invested that much money.
And, I mean, I think we're all familiar with EBDI and where the money came from, and some of it is public money, some of it is TIF funds, but that was expended some years ago. And I don't think you're going to be able to convince me that those dollars should be applied to these applicants.
Can I defer to
I
my
don't
colleague,
know.
Mr. Fine, who's whispering
Bring
in my
it-
ear
bring
here?
Absolutely, sure.
I can hear you agitating
Stanley
behind me.
Fine, we're partners
Yes.
at Rosenberg Martin Greenberg, and none of the TIF money went into this restaurant. The TIF money went into the public improvements of the streets and the public infrastructure. The money that Forest City put in was Forest City's own money as master developer. Okay, it was not EBDI's money. It was Forest City's money. As the landlord, they own 855 North Wolf Street, which is the first bioscience building at EBDI. They paid millions of dollars for that building, and one part of which was to improve a space for a restaurant. I think that where the difficulty is that when a restaurant goes out, in a normal situation, if a restaurant is successful and they want to sell their assets, there's a value there. But where an asset such as their improvements plus the landlord improvements, where the restaurant goes out, all those assets go back to the landlord. It could be in return for unpaid rent. It could be in return for future rent. But the bottom line is Cuban Resolution went out of business and left those assets there, and so that Atwaters now starts off with an asset worth a lot of money that it didn't have to pay for, but it's really paying for it through rent to the landlord. So I think that they have the ability to count that as part of the $200,000 on top of what they're going to put in the $95,000. So I hope that has tried to explain to you how you do it.
I understand what you're saying. But let's see what others think.
I didn't understand whether you were finished or not.
I don't know if I am or not either, Rana, but I think I'll just stop for now.
Well, the question keeps coming up is to avoid buying it. Where happened to Mr. Fine? To avoid buying a new license or acquiring a license in the market, you are going this route where investment exceeds $200,000, and therefore getting a brand-new license and not acquiring a license and transferring it into this location. I think that's part of the problem, isn't it? That you're actually getting a free license with $95,000 investment, based upon the building itself and the original investment.
Except it's not free. You're paying a hefty rent to a landlord.
Where's that?
They're paying a monthly rent to the landlord for X number of years. I think it's listed in our interview form.
But is rent investment
No,
under the code?
Rent is, part of the rent is letting the landlord get a return on his investment for providing the leasehold improvements that the $600,000 or whatever Forest City spent. Part of the rent goes to cover whatever the investment it has. And so it's not just $95,000. There's going to be a 10-year rent stream that you're going to have here, part of which is used by the landlord to recoup its investment.
So if you decide to go into this property, there's certain renovations you're going to have to make anyway. So you make this as a renovation, you have costs attached to that renovation. You have other expenses that you're going to have to attach to putting your restaurant at that location. You're going to have to pay rent. These are the given. You're going to have to pay rent at that location, at least. So if you put all this investment in and it goes over $200,000+, you can hold your hand out and say, give me my license. But if you buy a liquor license for that same location, it's going to be an additional cost to you for that liquor license. So that's the reason why you take the route you take. You prefer to invest the $200,000+ and to have the seatings and meet those requirements so that you can save the money that it would cost you to purchase a license in addition to doing those things that you have to do.
That is correct.
I mean, that's good business sense. I understand that.
That is correct, but Baltimore City rules and regulations and the state law allow new licenses to be created in Baltimore City in every district except the 46 with the 75 seats and the $200,000. And I think it's been an economic development tool here in the city. And if Atwater's was going to open up a restaurant in Towson, there is no new license, restaurant license in Baltimore County. If they were going to open up a restaurant in Towson, they would have to spend $200,000 to $250,000 to buy a license. And if we ended up with that kind of situation here in the city, you would not have the kind of restaurant growth you have. But we have this rule and regulation that allows it with a $200,000 investment. So yes, we prefer to go that and spend money in the space than try to find another license, which may or may not be available, and we don't know what the supply and demand cost of it is. But it's really piggybacking on the regulation, creating the new license in Baltimore City, which has been a very, very valuable economic development tool.
It's advantage offered to you, and I agree.
Totally.
I would take it too.
Totally.
Yeah.
If I can also add one other thing, as a practical matter, it makes sense to count the investment of the prior restaurant operator or the landlord's investment in the space, because Atwater's comes into a space that was previously occupied by a restaurant. It's essentially fit out for a restaurant. The equipment is there. They need to do some cosmetic things, but otherwise, essentially the landlord would have to gut the space and have them rebuild it to put in another $200,000 in investment. And it seems that they should get some credit for using what's there rather than starting fresh with a brand new space and rebuilding it.
So, I mean, I understand. I'm just having, and I know, Mr. Atwater, you don't know me, but I remember when you started at the Waverly Farmers Market, my husband could do nothing on Saturday morning until he went over to the market and got our daughter an almond croissant. Every Saturday, 7 a.m. He was one of your first customers. And so I've watched you and know the growth, and we now are kind of regulars at the soup bar. We call it the soup bar at Belvedere Market, and we love it. And I know that you're needed in this space. I'm just having trouble making the fiscal leap. And I don't want to make a decision that sets a precedent for those that come behind you. I just don't think that I'm not convinced that the financials are there. I do think that you can get there if, and I know the situation with EBDI, and I understand what happened with the Cuban Revolution. There are no people there. It's a whole new community. So, I mean, I want you to do this and to be successful. I just don't think getting the liquor license this way I don't think the numbers are there yet.
I think also that the intent of the investment requirement, that you put $200,000 of investment, is to guarantee that it's going to be a high-quality restaurant, and that it's not some fly-by-night operation that just wants a liquor license. I think the investment is intended to demonstrate that this is really a high-quality place, and Atwater's, as you know, they have a great track record, as you mentioned, of being a high-quality restaurant. I think they've met that intent here.
Let me, we've always interpreted the 200,000 as money spent before you come to us, but actually, I don't think that's precisely what the code says. I think it says 200,000 now, before, and after in improvements. What is your plans with respect to how much money are you putting into it before you open that has not been put into it now and doesn't include the 90-some thousand?
We're already open. It opened on October 1st.
Mm-hmm. Are there any other improvements or any other sums of money involved?
I don't.
The only other improvement.
Well, swear the witnesses.
Raise your right hands. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Go ahead, say your
The
name.
only other, Ned Atwater, the only other investment is not going to be by us, but the adjacent space is going to be a tech incubator that will adjoin our space, and we're a part of that. But in terms of other capital expenditures that we're going to make, you know, if a machine breaks or if we need new furniture, or if we are successful in a license, we might install some beer equipment, things like that. But we won't go from 95 to 200 anytime soon unless something terrible goes wrong, which we hope it doesn't. So, I mean, if that's the question, I just want to be honest, we won't get to 200.
I'd also like to point you to this is the Baltimore City Rules and Regulations of the Liquor Board. This is on page 5, rule number 2.08A. A1 little I, which says that we have to demonstrate that there is a minimum capital investment of $200,000 for restaurant facilities, which shall not include the cost of land and/or buildings.
Can you say that last sentence again?
There is a minimum capital investment of $200,000 for restaurant facilities, which shall not include the cost of land and/or buildings. It doesn't say when that investment must be made or by whom. It just says that there has to be a minimum capital investment of $200,000. And here we have a capital investment of over $1 million.
Any other questions? Any other questions, Commissioner?
My only other question, if you were to put a value on the equipment that is present, what would that value be?
There is,
You know, I know what a kitchen, like, a kitchen of this size normally takes about 250.
there's,
I like the equipment, I mean, there's, in this case, it's probably a little bit more than that, because the prior tenant Cuban spent a lot of money on these custom stainless steel cooking units, which I probably wouldn't have done, but they did, and they're still there. So in this case, it's probably closer to 300, but, and I think a third of our number was kitchen equipment that we added that wasn't part of their outfit.
and if you look at the Cuban Revolution's numbers, there are 2 items that are itemized as equipment. One is $115,524. The other one is $84,090 in equipment. That's on top of Atwater's investment.
Anything
Do you
else?
have an ownership interest in that equipment? Are you responsible for that? Are you essentially, all right, so what I have seen with some restaurants is you lease the space and then you essentially have like a lease buy agreement with respect to the equipment.
The way the lease was written is anything that was existing after the first term of the lease, we take ownership of. But Hopkins and Forest City basically have made it clear that it's our equipment now. But, yeah, I mean, we're in complete control of it. They have no other, I mean, they don't want anything to do with it, basically.
Yeah.
They-
Hopkins can't use a stainless steel.
No.
Okay.
So, for all intents and purposes, we own and operate and maintain everything that's inside the space.
And the two figures of 115 to 84 don't include your 95.
Correct.
Any other questions?
No.
All right, time for decision. I think it's a close case, but I vote yes because I'm going to include the 115,524 and 84,090 plus the new money, because I do believe that their ownership of the equipment is easily proven in this case, so they barely make the $200,000. So therefore I vote yes too.
Yes. For all the stated reasons.
So I'm going to vote no, and when I come for soup, for all the reasons that I've said before and all the struggles that I'm having, and I understand all of this, but I'm going to stick with what I'm feeling, and I'm outvoted.
All right, then you have our decision.
Thank you.
And make sure that the file is complete with respect to the packet that I was given, Exhibit 1, and the file, Exhibit 2.
Oh, okay. That's the chairman's. You know, he doesn't take extra paper.
Exhibit 1 and 2, we're okay?
1 and 2.
All right, and that completes our morning docket. Good.
We need to
Best
get a
of luck
ruling
to
on
you.
that too.
Who is that back
It's
there?
me.
My friend. What side? You coming up to the dark
I'm
side?
not here today. You're always on,
I
you
didn't see
always
you.
have the dark side occupied.
See me now.
Hey, don't you guys know me on record?
Call the case.
Yes, sir. It is the Thursday, December 4th, 2014, the 1 p.m. hearing of the Baltimore City Liquor Board. The first case that we're going to be listening to today is Felicia Zapata of 646 Newkirk, trade name Latin Quarters. This is 646 South Newkirk Street. This is a Class D beer, wine, and liquor license. This is a review of a previous request to reopen.
Excuse me. Abraham Hurdle for Felicita Zapata. No. I object to this hearing. I have no idea why we're here. The case is on appeal.
Michelle, give me,
Yes, sir.
why are we here?
Our appeals attorney asked for us to bring back this matter because she believes that the record is insufficient, because on the date of June, sorry. This matter was heard on, sorry, my notes are incomplete, mine are under here. This matter was heard on July 10th, 2014. At that meeting, there was a request to withdraw, which was denied, and the board deemed the license dead. And there was information that the appeals attorney felt needed to be added to the record in regards to this case. So we've asked to bring it back in front of the board for a further review of the information that was presented. There's information that was in the files that has not been, that was not accepted at that hearing.
And was this the judge that sent it back, or Alice Penderhughes?
It was Alice Penderhughes in conversation with Mr. Hurdle, but I understand that Mr. Hurdle does not agree.
So now we know why we're here.
Well, I continue to object to this hearing. The case is on appeal. The record speaks for itself. I think any attempt to clean up the record before a judicial order is I think the record speaks for itself. I don't want to insult anybody. I understand and I respect the commission.
So who wants to, any commissioners want to say anything with respect to the record? I have the transcript in front of me. Frankly, I make no attempt to try to remember my cases, so you'll have to refresh my memory.
Well, can I just confess to some confusion? What information was thought to be needed?
There were several items that were actually sent with this matter, as far as some letters from the community, also a letter from the Community Law Center regarding the validity of the license. And I believe that was an issue that was not presented at the hearing, and the information that was, that the withdrawal was made, the motion for withdrawal was made by Mr. Hurdle, and that was denied, and then the license was also, in the summary, the license was declared dead. And there's also, there also is a report of an investigation from Mr. Ed Owens, one of our inspectors, that was made on February 5th, 2014, regarding the closure of the location and the fact that he had gone there for the last 6 months and the place appeared to be closed.
And the reports that you have, I offered the entire file, by the way, as Exhibit 1 in supplementary over your objection. And that would include such information as what? Michelle, read it out for us.
Yes, included in the file is a copy of an investigation from Edward Owens dated February 5th, 2014. There's also some emails.
And what does it say?
In that investigation report, it says that on the 28th of February, 2014, at approximately 1:10 p.m., that he went to this establishment and found it not open, and estimates that it had been closed for the last 6 months. And at the present time, the liquor license for the establishment had not been transferred. And what he informed the acting, the chairman at the time of this, and put this in the file to note that the establishment was closed.
Oh, hold on, I'm sorry. Who's testifying to that information?
There's a copy of an inspection report, which is in the file.
Now,
And
it's now,
Edward Owens?
now in evidence, part of the file.
The next item that was in evidence is in regards to an email sent from Ms. Witt, and information from Ms. Witt in the Community Law Center, as well as letters from the Greater Greektown Neighborhood Alliance, a letter from Philip Wellshands in regards to Latin Quarter application.
This is an argument on her behalf. Is this documentation that was going to be brought in during the hearing at 1 o'clock, as opposed to the administrative matter that was dealt with at 11? Because the hearing was heard at 11 on the motion to withdraw. No hearing for testimony was ever taken.
What are you talking about?
No testimony was ever given by my client because the hearing was at 1. The motion to withdraw was properly filed 3 days in advance. It was rejected, and the license declared dead. No testimony was taken from anybody else.
That's right. That's true.
And it sounds like right now testimony is being taken against my client with no opportunity for them to present testimony.
Sure, you can do whatever you want.
This
That's why
hearing
we're
is
here.
improper. We're supposed to have an appeal.
Now, look, let's get something straight. The hearing is not improper unless the Circuit Court of Baltimore City tells me, who my counsel up there is telling me that that's what the judge wanted us to come back and supplement the record so the judge can make an intelligent decision.
I don't think that's true at all. I don't think the judge asked for any of that. This hearing.
Were you there?
There has been no hearing with the judge.
Okay, well, apparently there was one and you didn't know about it. Then
I don't believe
know.
that's true, Your Honor.
Maybe so. I don't know.
The scheduling, I think the board only sent over their records on the 14th of November.
But I do know this. You were notified of this hearing and you were notified of the
I was
purpose
not
of
notified
it.
of this hearing.
Well, why are you here?
Because I haven't checked the docket last week. I didn't get proper notice. I was not served with any paperwork at all.
You was never notified?
Yes, he was notified about this. This hearing has been set for more than 2 weeks.
Was
And
I-
he was also in conversations with our appeals attorney that he was notified that this would be set for this date over 3 weeks ago.
I indicated to the appeals council explicitly that I did not consent to this case being remanded.
But you were notified then by her. She
It
did
appeared
talk
to
you
me that
about
there
it.
was not going to be a hearing on this matter.
Well, what did she talk to you about?
I told her I objected,
What
and I
did
don't
she
know why
talk
this is
to you
here.
about? You must talk to, you don't have to answer because you're counsel in any of your conversations between you and your client or and your thoughts, of course, don't have to be made public, but I'm asking you, what did Ms. Pender-Hughes talk to you about?
Ms. Pender-Hughes discussed remanding the case, and I said I disagree and do not consent to doing so.
Okay. Well, that's what we're going to go ahead over your objections.
Okay.
Now, this is argument on your behalf.
It is, sir.
Okay.
I
And your
haven't
name
introduced
for-
myself.
You're counsel.
Yes, Becky Witt.
And what do you have to tell us today?
Well, I guess I don't have a copy of what is in front of you. So I think this was an email to Michelle in June, just letting her know that the zoning for this building had been, the use permit had been revoked because it was, the tavern use was a non-conforming use, and it had been discontinued for over a year, so the use permit was revoked at this address, and so I was just letting Michelle know that this tavern could not reopen at this address, and also that I argue that the license is expired for the same reasons that
At the last hearing?
Yes.
Mhm. And that was the issue, I believe.
Yes.
That wasn't an issue that was brought up last time at all.
And what was the issue?
There was no testimony taken last time. The only testimony taken was Ms. Witt said she believed the place was closed for 3 years, and then you ruled and said you would not withdraw the motion, and you killed the license. The transcript is there.
Yes, I just finished reading it. All right. Anything else? Anybody?
Just, Chair, that there also is a letter from the Baltimore Housing that's also in that file as well, that regarding the use permit as Ms. Witt had described.
All right, find it for me.
Yes, sir. It's, actually, I'll just hand you mine, so it's in your file as well. And then there's also formal
Wait a
course.
minute. This comes from the Department of Housing. It says that the permit was issued in error and based on incorrect, inaccurate, incomplete information. The tavern use is non-conforming and has been discontinued for 12 consecutive months under Section 13-407 of the zoning code. For reasons stated above, DHDC has determined that permit, and gives a number, is in violation of subsection 105.6 little 2 little a, and is hereby revokes the permit effective immediately. You have the right to request an administrative review of this revocation. Your administrative appeal request must be, and it goes on to give the code requirements of a request for review. And this is in the file,
Yes, sir.
in which I have put into evidence as Exhibit 1. You wish to see it? Anybody?
Also, part of that same file is a letter dated June 6th from the Community Law Center with the opposition of the request to reopen, from a letter in regards to Mr. Hurdle's request to reopen on May 12th, 2014, which are also in the file. Mr. Hurdle's 2 letters regarding this are in the file as well.
All right, you wish to see him?
They'll be admitted to the record anyway.
Mhm.
I'll already see it.
Okay. Any questions now, commissioners, of anything?
I don't have any questions, but Mr. Hurdle, I think, if I might.
Please.
Just, you're being so intemperate, and it's.
This
just-
hearing is
Wait
absurd.
wait a second.
Better speak.
It's just not appropriate. It's not necessary. And I just mention it to you so that perhaps you can make a mid-course correction.
I do appreciate it, thank you.
You're very welcome.
All right, anything else?
No.
All right, we have before us there actually Alice Pender-Hughes apparently, and I don't know who she talked to at the circuit court level, is putting this back before us for the purpose of supplementing the previous record, which I have read, that the transcript, Mr. Hurdle is correct. It doesn't say much at all, one way or the other. I think we have supplemented, and I have nothing further to say. Does anyone else have anything before we vote? Yes, be glad to hear
If
from
we're
you.
supplementing the record, I have I was prepared to present more evidence. Actually, most of this evidence is from the file, but there are a few things that haven't been presented.
Go
So
ahead.
can I do that? Okay.
Certainly.
Continuing objection, please.
You have it? You have a continuing objection?
This is a copy for you. And I have 3 copies for the commissioners.
Are these one for each of us?
Yes, sir. I actually have a copy. Do you need? Sure. Okay, so the first 2 pages of this packet are printouts from the Department of Assessments and Taxation for the state of Maryland, showing that the corporate entity associated with this license was forfeited between October 2nd, 2009 and December 21st, 2012. So this corporate entity was not able to do business in Maryland in its own name for 3 years. So that's just what I started out with.
But once they revived it, then they could operate.
Yes, yes, sir. The next document is a letter from Jane Schroeder to the licensee saying that the 2009 license fee has not been paid, and which basically means that she had not picked up her 2009 license. Because if you haven't paid your license fee, you don't get to take your license home from the liquor board. The next letter also says that the 2009 license fee has still not been paid. We can't accept your 2010 renewal until the license fee has been paid.
Therefore, the license is, of course, not in use.
Yes, the license is not in use. And also, if you look in the file, there's 2 white envelopes in the very back of the file that contain the 2010 and 2011 license, the licensee's copy of the license. So those 2 years were never, those licenses were never picked up.
All right, Ms. Michelle, is that included in our file?
Yes, sir, that is included.
All right, that's included in Exhibit 1. Go ahead.
The next letter is from Ms. Schroeder.
Which letter are you on?
I'm
there?
sorry, I'm on page 5. I have them hand numbered.
Okay, go ahead.
The date of the letter is August 3rd, 2010, to Mr. Kadensky, who was the attorney for the licensee at the time. Ms. Schroeder, who's the former deputy executive secretary, says, again, the 2009 license fee has not been paid. And then in the second paragraph, it says, please advise me in writing of the status of the current transfer. As you know, if we withdraw the pending application, the license will die under the provisions of Article 2B, Section 10504D. This transfer seems to have never gone through. I don't think it was withdrawn. There's really nothing in the file to say what happened to that transfer. The next letter, so this is page 6, February 28th, 2012, letter to the licensee again. And then Ms. Schroeder says again, it is your responsibility to have requested a hardship extension. If you intend to preserve your license for sale or operation at another location, you must give these matters your immediate attention. The next page is June 27th, 2012, a letter to an auctioneer company. Apparently, a man had purchased this license at auction and thought it was in good standing. So this is a letter from Jane Schroeder again to the auctioneering company saying this license is not in good standing. The license fee has not been paid for 2011 to 2012. No hardship extension has ever been requested for this license. I'm looking in the second paragraph. And then in the third paragraph, it says if the property at 646 South Newkirk is zoned residential, that use has been lost. The nonconforming use has been lost because the business has been inactive for more than a year. The license, in the final sentence, the license is not in good standing with the liquor board. The next page is a report from Inspector Ed Owens to Doug Page. It was written on October 30th, 2013, saying that he has made many attempts to visit this location to do
I don't see, oh, there it is.
inspections.
October 29th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the very first line says the 29th, but then at the very end, he signs it Inspector Ed Owens 10/30/13 at the very last line. So he's tried to make various attempts to inspect the premises and has never been able to find it open. And then the very last sentence says, it is Inspector Owen's conviction that the establishment known as the Latin Quarters never opened for trade after the establishment's request to reopen was granted on January 24th, 2013.
And I assume you got all these from our file?
Yes,
So the
I did.
license was valid as of,
Excuse me, she is presenting,
You can ask her questions, I'll give you an opportunity.
now
No, when she's finished.
The next page is what we've already seen, the letter from the permits and code enforcement to the owner of the property saying the use has been revoked. And then I just included the section of the zoning code for the next 2 pages, so we can skip that. Page 12 now, I'm on a printout from the Baltimore City's water bill page, which shows that the last time this water bill has been paid, and this is way down kind of at the bottom, it says last pay date is June 11th, 2013. So that's the last time the water bill was paid, and the water has been turned off at this property as of October 6th of this year.
No, I don't see that June date, where is it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's July 13th?
No.
Oh, here it is, yeah.
June 11th, 2013 is the last time the bill was paid. And then finally, just the first page of each of the applications for renewal from 2009 to 2013, each of which says that the establishment is not open. They each have a different closure date. One of them doesn't have a closure date at all. 2009 application says that it was closed December 31st. It doesn't have a year. The 2010 application says it was closed in November of 2009. The 2011 application says
Wait
that
a
it...
minute.
Yes, sorry.
Okay.
I'm going too quickly. So,
Operating, that was 1109.
uh-huh.
And what year?
It doesn't say, so it's hard to know. The 2011 application for renewal says that it was closed, I believe that means January of 2010, so over a year before the renewal application was submitted. The 2012 application for renewal says it's closed but doesn't give a closure date. And then the 2013 application says it's closed and gives a date of 1/11, and I don't know what the year is.
Where'd you get these, out of our file?
Yes, all out of the
They're
file.
stamped in, Executive Secretary? What's the date of stamp-ins?
Sorry, I just copied the first page. The 2004,
Wait a minute.
oh, sorry.
she's going to answer.
Those are just the month and year, that's not the date.
That's
not
what I
the,
think.
calendar date, that's month and year.
I believe it's January 2011, whatever, 2009.
Yeah,
We don't.
going backwards, forwards, and in 2011, it was it was received on March 29th of 2011. In 2012, it was received again on March 29th. So, and then
You're going to the earliest,
yeah, I'm trying to find it.
go backwards.
The 2009 file, I think, is gone now because we have purged that. So I believe that Becky had gotten the 9 and 10 earlier.
Yeah.
We have 11, 12, and 13 in the files, but they appear to have been received the last day. I mean.
All right, well, give us what we need.
Okay. So the days that the ones that I have are from 12, 13, and 14. And those were all received on the 29th.
Give us a date that shows, when did it close, 1109. You don't have that file.
No, I don't have that in the
The next
file.
one is, when did it close, 1/20, looks like 10. Do you have that file?
No, I have 11, 12, and 13.
Okay, the next one is, when did it close? And there's no date, as I recall.
In 2011, it has on here the same thing that Ms. Wood is.
In 2011, when did it close?
1/2010 is what the file does say.
All right, show me that. Pass.
I'm looking at the same application you are. She did do an accurate copy of that.
And where is the date? To the yellow sheet?
No, it's the next page, sir. Right here. Top, question 2, the same thing that you noted.
You have the same thing we
Yes,
have. You
the
don't
same
have any-
thing, nothing different.
Mhm. You don't stamp in your pages in?
The received date is here when we do the pay. So we received it March 29th, 2011.
March 29th, 2011.
Mhm.
Is that the last one?
No, the other 2, I have the dates, but they were all March 29th of the subsequent years.
Oh,
So each year, it was
wait a
submitted
minute,
on.
you're talking too fast.
Oh, yes, sir.
Subsequent years, you say?
Let me make sure I'm on the record. For each date, the application was submitted on the 29th of each year. So the 29th of March 2011, the 29th
And what
of
was the
March.
last date you have?
That we received one
Yes.
is March 29th, I believe it was 2013.
Let me see that one.
Actually, this was on, sorry, this was September 2013. That was the last one we received for the 2013.
You want to see any of these documents?
No.
You wish to see any of the documents?
No. I'll just also point out that there is no 2014 renewal application in the file.
Is that true, Michelle?
Yes, there is not a 2014. That's a 13-14 is the last one that I see.
So the last one we have is 9/23/2013.
Yes.
Yeah, I have it, so you can't say yes or no. But I'll pass it back to you and ask her that question again.
Sir, what I have in my hands is a renewal effective 5/23/13 to April 30th, 2014, dated and received September
last
of
one you have?
2013. Yes, sir.
All right. Now, what else did you wish to? I'm going to give you an opportunity to extend.
Your Honor, I think that is it. Those were all the documents that I wanted to submit. I have a community member who can testify that he has never seen this place open since he moved to the neighborhood, if you would like to hear from him. But other than that, that is all the evidence that I have to present.
Well, you're counsel. You do whatever
Okay.
you wish.
All right, so I'll call James Pringle.
And swear the witness. Swear the witness.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And your name, sir?
My name is James Pringle,
And your address?
722 South Macon Street, Baltimore
You've
City.
been here before. You may ask questions.
Sure. So how long have you lived at your address?
I moved in on September 23rd, 2013.
And how often do you walk by 646 South Newkirk Street?
Since I've lived there, I've been a student at the Johns Hopkins School of Public Health, and each weekday in the morning and afternoon, I walk to the shuttle at Bayview or ride my bike. And the route to the shuttle passes the bar, Latin Quarters, and my bike is also 1 block away, so I specifically check to look at it as I've gone past.
And of course, the next question is going to be, what did you see?
Yes, what did you see? Have you ever seen it open, ever?
I actually have seen it open, but that was only in February and
What year?
of 2014, this year. And since in January of that year, there was a sign on the door that said there would be a hearing to reopen. I think it was to reopen. I'm not certain. It might have been to transfer the ownership. But the
Of the
hearing
same year?
of 2014. So that was 1 month prior. I came to that hearing and it was postponed. So we were the residents in that neighborhood were looking forward to the next hearing.
Can I object? The question was whether it was open or not, and we've gotten pretty far afield of that question, I think, at this time.
Overruled.
Thank you.
Go ahead, sir.
And so that put us on the alert. The bar suddenly became open before the hearing was rescheduled which is a surprise to me. And
When was that?
that was
About?
February 22nd, I believe,
Oh,
2014.
mm-hmm.
So it was a surprise to me, and I actually called into the liquor board to check.
All right, let's wait for another question.
Okay.
Okay. So, when you saw that the bar was opening after having been closed for several months that you had been living there, what did you do? And who did you talk to at the liquor board?
I spoke with the then secretary. He used to sit over here. I can't remember his name.
Tall man?
Yes.
Mr. White, perhaps?
Yeah, Ramsey White.
Mhm.
Exactly. I spoke with Ramsey White about it, and he said that they shouldn't be open.
True. Overruled. You may answer.
And eventually, because of my phone calls, we got the inspector to come out to look at it, and so a week after they opened, they were closed, and in that time frame, it was open, I think, every night. But then since then, it's been closed.
Okay, wait for a question.
All right, so since the inspector came and closed down the bar for not having permission to be open, has it been open since?
Since then, it hasn't.
That date was when? About?
February 29th.
19,
Um,
20, I mean.
Yeah, 2014.
All right.
Thank you.
Any other testimony?
No.
Questions? Cross.
So the bar was open in February 2014,
It was open, and they were serving alcohol.
and you're aware that they were granted a motion to reopen in January 2013?
That was on YouTube, so I did know about it.
So they were allowed to be open?
At that time, they were not allowed to be open, according to my conversation with Ramsey White, because they had been closed for the requisite number of days and needed permission to reopen at that time, and which is, I presume, why it was closed down, because they did not have permission to reopen.
But to your knowledge, they were open for a week in February?
That's correct.
No further questions?
Any questions of council? You said you wanted to ask her some
Yes.
questions.
Well, I guess more of a statement. One of the documents submitted, there's a lot of talk of 2009 and 2010 and 11, but this board, composed of different commissioners, two different commissioners, in January of 2013, granted a motion to reopen. According to this document, correct?
Yeah.
So as of January 25th, the license was considered valid, ready to operate, correct?
In January 2013, the board gave the licensee permission to reopen, and that licensee did not reopen until February of 2014, which is a full year and a month later.
I object to that answer because that was not the question I asked. The question was, as of January 25th, 2013, was the bar allowed to be open and operating?
And one of the things that lawyers always discover when they ask questions is that sometimes things come out that they may not particularly want, overruled as to your objection. So the evidence is in. Now, what's your next question?
My question is, as of January 25th, 2013, after the motion was granted, they were allowed to be open and operating? Yes or no?
Yes.
Sorry. Cell phone.
Any other questions?
No.
All right. Anything else?
No, sir.
Questions of commissioners?
Where is the licensee today?
They're not here.
Where is the, don't do that.
No, I'm sorry.
Where is the licensee today?
I'm unsure.
Have you, when have you last spoken to your client?
Of course, I caution that you don't have to
Yeah.
reveal any information.
Sorry.
with respect to client.
I declined to answer that question. I apologize.
Well, I mean, we do ask that the licensees appear at the hearings, and there is a rule that His Honor has issued that licensees appear before the board. And I'm not sure when that goes into effect. but-
15th of January.
Okay, so the
So
magic
sorry.
January date. So, no, It just
15th, next
is
January.
of January 2015.
Yeah.
All right, so not here.
I had to give, in the ruling, I had
Oh,
to give
I'm
more
not-
than enough time so
I-
people would
okay,
know about
so-
it.
Sure, I appreciate that. It just
Mm.
seems to me that if this is such an important issue for the licensee, that they would come and that they would present their testimony about what they did or did not do, and what they were or were not allowed to do, or what their perception of the rulings were. That, you're right, you don't have to answer, you don't have to be here, but is that not just pretty blindingly obvious that if it's that important, they would come here and present? And I guess that's a statement more than a question, so you don't have to answer.
I would say that I respectfully disagree with that statement. The situation is, it is my understanding that no judge has issued this case back to the liquor board. There's been no discussion with a judge about issuing this case back to the liquor board. I have not been involved in any discussion involving this case being remanded back to the liquor board with a judge present.
I don't think they were here in July either, when we first heard this. I don't
But the
think-
case is on appeal right now.
Sure, it's just, they're not here. They're not, but that's okay. They've not been here, they weren't here in July, they're not here today. Period. Okay, but thank you.
All right, any other question? Any other evidence? Nothing? Ready for decision?
I do have a statement if that's possible.
Certainly.
Just to reiterate, there has been no judge that has issued this case back to the liquor board for a clarification of the record. There's been no hearing in this case at the circuit court level. The record as it previously existed was appealed to the circuit court, and I object to this hearing in the strongest way possible because I think it is improper. It was not remanded by the court. I think this is, I just think it's improper.
Okay. Ready for decision. One of the things that we all try to do in life is the administration of justice. And while I don't know what happened at the circuit court level, I do know why we're here today, and that is to supplement this record. Because the counsel for the liquor board has asked me to do so on grounds that she feels in her legal representations of us that the record is too brief. And I do recall this case, and I do recall saying something like, I believe I said the license is dead, or something like that, based upon what the evidence was at that time. As I recall the evidence then, it's not important, but I thought it was more than sufficient, and I certainly feel that with the evidence that we've now received this afternoon, and I believe all of the documents that have been marked into evidence and are now part of our file, and I believe that they are true documents properly placed in our file, and I do believe they supplement the record completely, showing that this bar had been closed for a long period of time, and that the 1 week that it was open was not sufficient legality attached to it to give it a legal presence opening after 1 week. Therefore, I find that the bar had been closed and in effect was not operating and in violation of the law, and therefore I vote to adopt all these things in support of my previous vote that this bar is closed and therefore in violation of the law and does not, and the license is of no validity.
Well, I too believe that based on all the information received and the additional information received today, this certainly indicates that the licensed establishment, the unlicensed establishment wasn't open. And that 1 week that you did open back in February doesn't qualify or justify me changing my decision. So based on all of the above and all stated by Judge, I concur. The license is dead.
I agree. The evidence is overwhelming that the license expired through lack of use over a period of many years. And what we have here in this case that we don't always have is documentation by the liquor board warning and advising the holder of the license that there were specific things that they needed to do in order to preserve the license, and those things were not done. The authorization to reopen in January 2013 was the opportunity to act, and even then, there was no action, so that by the time February 2014 rolls around, the license had again expired through the licensee's own failure to open and to use that license. And I think sometimes the hardest thing that a lawyer has to do is to sit down with their client and tell them on this one, it's just not going to happen for you. It's just not going to work. It's too late. And I think that we as lawyers have responsibility to tell our clients that it is hard, but that is, it is our responsibility. And the fact that we are here and that we're having to spend time to debate this, that it's even on appeal, it's totally within your rights, but sometimes you just have to sit down and say, it's not going to happen for you on this one. And I think that's where we are. It's not going to happen. This license has expired. The record is very well documented. It's very clear. And, you know, frankly, the licensee acted incredibly illegally, opening in February 2014 for that 1 week. And we could be here on other issues. We're not. But I concur with my fellow commissioners.
All right, you have our decisions. Thank you.
Thank you.
You tell me when you're ready. All right, call the case.
Dale Watkins, Trey James, Will's Place. This is at 1909 North Pulaski Street. This is a Class D beer, wine, and liquor license. This is a request for reconsideration of the board's decision on October 23rd, 2014.
All right.
For the record, Melvin J. Kaminsky here for Ms. Watkins regarding to reconsideration.
Are you going to have testimony?
Yes.
All right, swear the witnesses.
I'll stand up.
Excuse me.
Raise your right hands, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Kadinsky,
All right.
you're on.
All right, for the record, let me first give a chronology of events that I think are verified by the record in this case. Number one is that the place had a fire next door on March 8th, 2014, as a result of which Ms. Driver had written to the board asking for a hardship extension. She came before the board on May 8th, and the board told her to come back 6 months later, within closer to 6 months, because the first 180 days.
That was May 8, 2014.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll have a copy of that. I would submit if it, I know it's part of your record, it's part of the file.
Okay, you're submitting Exhibit 1. Go ahead. Can I keep it?
Yes, it's part, it comes out of your file, but yes. And then after that,
Exhibit 1.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, excuse me. Oh, he's got it. Told by the board to come back when?
Closer to the 180 days from March the 8th, at which time she came back in front of the board on August the 21st and was asking for a hardship extension at that time due to the fire. The board then granted a hardship. However, I think the board, instead of going from that day forward, went back to April, which was still within the first 180 days. After that, Ms. Driver contacted her daughter, who was here, and put an application in for transfer. At that time, at the transfer hearing,
And when was that?
that was on October 23rd, 2014.
Go ahead.
At that time, the issue...
2013 or
14.
14.
At that time, as was originally stated, the only issue at the time was whether or not the applicant was fit and proper to have, according to our assertion, to have the license transferred, not whether or not the place was open or closed or so forth. I think the chair ruled at that time that the issue regarding whether the place was open or closed was not brought up in August of 2014. Therefore, the only issue would have been the the fitness of the applicant. However, at that hearing, various members of the community, a community group, showed up and were put various testimony in which the applicant was not aware that was going to be presented. There was nothing in the file to indicate that. As a result of having all that testimony in there, the board ruled, and I'm not really sure what the outcome was. Well, first of all, they didn't rule the transfer of the license and also made some ruling concerning whether the license was valid or not. I'd like to indicate that as of this date, there's a valid license there. It's paid for under the
What did the board rule?
I'm not sure what the board ruled at on the 23rd.
Well,
I
we
couldn't
gotta
get a
have that.
copy of your decision. All the decisions are transcribed. It's not in the file.
Where's the transcription?
The board ruled on that day that the license was basically denied the transfer.
You have the transcript? For some reason, I don't have it.
What was the count that ruling that day, Michelle?
It was 3-0.
No, it wasn't. Mr. Jones voted for it.
It's not in the file. Let me call my staff and I'll get a copy of that over here ASAP. It's not in the file right
Because
this
I looked
second.
for it yesterday and it's not in there.
Yeah, I think it's, since it's the
Well,
23rd, we just got those in. Let me make sure
well,
we get it.
In any event, we're here for the two reasons that the members of the immediate community who live in that block were not aware that there were going to be those issues that were being brought up in front of the board. And they have come down here, as well as some of the people from the church, indicating that if they would have known that it was other than a straight transfer hearing where there was no opposition, then they would have come down here in support of the application for a license that's been there since Prohibition.
Now, you filed this in your motion for reconsideration.
I did. Mhm.
And you have a copy of it?
Copy.
And that's what you said.
Mhm. Correct.
As a result of that, I granted you the
Granted the motion for reconsideration. So, I mean, at this point, I'm not sure if we're only going on the fitness of the applicant in this case, then we have various members of the community here testifying to the fitness of the applicant. At least one of the members of the board, I think, was concerned about whether the place was open or closed, but I think the chair ruled that we're only going forward on the fitness of the applicant, not issues that were before the board in August, when it wasn't brought up and the appeal time had expired. I thought that's correct. I think that's what the posture of the case is.
Unfortunately, I don't have the transcripts.
We'll have the transcript for the August, but we don't have the one for October,
Yeah, well, that's essential, isn't it?
I would think. I mean, I couldn't find it because I wanted to see exactly.
We're just so close in time from when the October hearing to today. Michelle is asking the staff if in fact the transcript is ready to bring it over. But I do recall that the decision was made 2-1 to not allow the transfer. I voted no, and Judge Ward voted no, and Mr. Jones voted yes. But there was also testimony about the validity of the license and the fact that the license had not been used for some period of time, that the bar had not been opened. And I know that I recounted all of the efforts by the liquor inspectors to visit the bar and establish that it
You
was
had a
being
long
used.
list.
It was a long list. And it was very clear from my perspective that the bar had not been open for some period of time.
Except that that was not
I'm
the,
getting some information. Go ahead.
It was 2-1. You're right, Mr. Jones voted in the affirmative. Both you and Dana denied the.
And where's the
motion.
transcript?
She's bringing it over right now. It'll be over in 2 minutes.
All right, we'll have
see,
it.
the issue of whether,
And there was a lot of testimony in addition to my concerns. And my concern was that when we had the hearing, the first time Mrs.
August.
Driver was here,
Mhm.
There was just testimony about the fire and that there was hardship. I learned later that there were other issues.
Yep.
And the vote, when she was first here, was 2 in favor of granting the hardship, and that was myself and Commissioner Jones, and 1 against granting the hardship, and that was Judge Ward. And more information came out after the hearing, and I changed my mind.
which I thought was improper because,
Well, but why do you think you think I can't
Well, then-
change my mind?
No.
You think that when I get
You can change your
when I
mind
get
time
new
you-
information, I can't say,
No.
no, hold up, wait a minute, this is not accurate,
That's
this is
why I'm
wrong."
saying I think this has got to be put in the record because
Okay, so
the,
that's, that
because
from my
this,
perspective, I felt that there was a lot of information that we hadn't been provided. And once I got it, and then heard testimony from the community, it was patently obvious that Lil's Place had not been opened for some period of time. And I think that remains the case today. But you've asked for a motion to reconsider, you filed a motion to reconsider, and I think that's why we're here today, right?
well, first of all, let me say that when the case came up on August the 22nd, Ms. Driver was here by herself asking.
Yes, she was.
Yeah, and there was never an issue of whether the place was open or closed.
No, because it was clear it had been closed since the
Since
fire.
March.
Since March.
Got that.
But what we didn't know, or what I'll just speak for myself, what I didn't know was that it had been closed for some time prior to that.
That's what you were told by
Well,
people that were
I al-
here.
Well, wait a minute. I also got all of the records from the liquor board that showed all of the inspectors' efforts to visit the location and establish that it was open.
All right, but those inspectors were not there all the time. And I object, first of all, to the statement that the community said certain things
Well-
because all these people here live across the street and they are part of a community.
You know what? Can I just tell you something? And you can put this in your pocket and carry it with you going forward. You can object all you want to my use of the term "the community." I will continue to use it. You can continue to object to it, but it is of no moment to me.
All right, well, but I'm going to
I
make it for...
use it the way that it is intended. The community, there's community here. There might be differences of opinion, but you're wasting your energy trying to convince me to not use the term.
Commissioner, let him finish.
Just
his-
trying to
Sure.
make
Let him
a
finish his
record,
statement. Go ahead, sir.
because if I think, that we can show that there's, under the appeal process, that the decision has not been fairly exercised as under the section because it's arbitrary or capricious or not written. And
Yeah.
I'm saying that's the
Okay.
terms you're going to do.
Okay.
And then because of your statement saying is that you don't care what I say or how I feel.
No, I don't care what you say about my use of the term community. I very much care what
Folks,
you have
look,
to say, Mr.
I'm going to
Kudinski.
have to get into this. Let him finish his argument. Go ahead, sir.
So the...
And don't be bringing up contentious issues which have nothing to do with the two issues before us.
Well,
One
the-
of which is whether or not you were open or not open, because that was an issue, and whether or not the only issue was the qualifications of the new applicant for the license.
Well, we're prepared to
That's the only two.
have
isn't it?
testimony
Wait a
that
minute,
they
is
were
that the
open.
only- Is that the only two issues before it?
That they were open and, which I
Well-
don't think should have been issued, but I'll argue it today. And number two, the qualifications of the applicant.
We're going to
Okay.
get the transcript very shortly. We'll find out.
Do you want me to start or,
Do everything you can so we don't, this is the last case.
okay. Let me call Ms. Watkins. If I can move down here.
And this is on the issue of opening?
Yes, and I've got a lot of people here to testify to that.
And to be honest with you, that was one of the reasons why I allowed you to come back on the motion for reconsideration, that we did not hear evidence that you said you had.
All right, would you state your name and address for the record?
Dale Watkins,
Now, you're the-
1909 North Pulaski Street.
So you're the applicant for this transfer, correct?
Correct.
You're also the daughter of Ms. Driver.
Correct.
And during the time that your mom has had the bar, you said since 1980, you've been in and out of the bar, is that correct?
Correct.
And along with that, you've brought people from the neighborhood, the people who live across the street and so forth, who have been here to testify that the bar was open during all these times, is
Well,
that correct?
I guess the people.
They're all from the
tell us that.
community.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're going to bring witnesses on that side?
Yes, from the community.
Okay, well, let's go on.
Okay, and at that time, you also brought various documentation as to purchases and the fact that the lottery was there all the way up till 2013, is that correct?
Absolutely. I've provided copies
All
for
right, I'm going to
Your
submit
Honor.
this as a package.
Okay. And this, do you have a copy?
Yes, I
Yes,
have my
she's gonna
copy with
testify from
notes.
that.
All right, you want to
Only
take us
have
through it?
one.
Sure.
Yeah, you can testify as to what
You
that,
have it, that's the only
what's
copy you have?
included in it.
Well, I
have
can
an
tell you
extra
what's
one.
Is that
included.
extra?
Yeah, I got
Clearly? I
I'm
don't
gonna
want
let
to
her-
hamper your,
One at a time.
it. Right. Testify as to what you have compiled since the date you had the last hearing.
Okay, the data I have compiled since the last hearing was the Article 2B, Title 10, and noted Code 2B, Section 10-504. particularly Baltimore City, number 3, where it states that the licensee or other appropriate interested parties may make a written request to the board for an extension of the life of the license due to undue hardship for a period of no more than a cumulative period of 360 days after the date of closing. I'm not going to read all of it, but you guys got to.
No, that's, all right, let's see, what did you have here that you want to present to the board to show that
Oh,
the place
okay.
was open, and how, and where is it in your package?
Okay. The next sheet will identify as a hardship request dated April 16th of 2014. The next one will be May
What
the.
does that say?
I'm sorry. I, Lily M. Driver, owner of the above reference, request my license to be held in escrow until repairs are made on property which were sustained from fire at 1907 North Pulaski Street on March 8th, 2014. I am in process of repairs. Thank you for your time and cooperation. Any concerns or questions, please contact the number. The next one was May 8th. This was we originally came down from the fire, which was on March the 8th. We came down in May to request a extension. However, we were told that we were not within our 60 days or something of that nature. It hadn't been 60 days since the fire, so therefore we're premature. So we should wait and come back. We should try to get it together.
6 months.
Well, I'm sorry, 6 months, yeah. We were within 1 month, I think, March, April. Yeah, the board told her to come back close to the 6-month period due to the delay of the letter, okay?
Yeah,
So
the problem is I don't have that. Where'd you,
you should have that right there in front of you. Your hand is on it.
right here?
Yeah, that's the one. So that was on May the 8th. The next one was July 17th. I, Lily Mae
I
Drive.
see attached letter.
Yeah, that's when I paid the $100 for the hearing.
Do we have that letter?
You should.
Is this right here? Is that it?
No, that's the receipt for the payment,
The hearing fee.
the hearing fee.
I believe the attached letter was right behind this.
I tried to compile it in chronological order for you guys so you can,
The letters.
go through it with me. And then you can ask more questions.
All right, take it easy.
And that's the third
Let
letter.
me read.
Okay.
The reason I'm asking for an extension is because the house next door to my business caught fire and caused major damage to my property. I'm waiting for the Baltimore City Fire Department and so forth to repair the damage they caused. Thank you for your consideration. You wrote that. It doesn't show who you wrote. Who'd you send that letter to?
The liquor board.
Liquor board. Okay. And then
And-
go ahead.
And then following that, you will see where I had did a statement for, that was the reason for the request of the extension, for the hardship extension.
And that was the Central Bureau of Investigation. The Department
Correct.
of
And that was done
Law.
on April the 3rd of 2014, and the fire was on March the 8th.
And what did it say?
It says on the
Just tell
above
us.
date, basically on the above date, there was a fire. We received a lot of problems and, how can I say this?
I don't know.
On that date of the fire, which was March the 8th, we incurred a lot of damages from the fire, so we had to close. We had no choice. The windows were busted out, the doors were busted out. I mean, the liquor was destroyed. It was just a mess. So we couldn't well do business in that type of
So that's your
environment.
claim?
Yes, that's the claim.
Okay.
And behind that is a letter from City of Baltimore that supports my documentation of action taken immediately trying to resolve this so we can get back in business. Because it is my mom's livelihood.
So what did they say, the City of Baltimore?
Well, after their investigation, I presented the pictures. They basically said that the firefighters were within compliance. They were doing their job. So we
They're
had to.
denying your claim for money.
Well, to repair. Only thing I wanted was doors and windows. I told them I would do everything else. Just put back the doors and the
That's what
windows.
this was about.
Yes.
Okay.
And I would do everything else that they destroyed inside the bar.
All right.
Next, after that, I made application for the barber shop. So the business could not have been closed as stated by the opposing parties because, as you can see, That was on June the 27th of 2013. So it could not have been closed. That's the application to get the bar upstairs. The next page is the zoning board of appeals, which I had right here on September 3rd of 2013. So the bar could not have been closed
Well, why is that?
because we were in there getting it prepared to open up upstairs to the barber shop, and we
That
were still
doesn't
doing
mean the bar-
business.
That doesn't mean the bar's open.
Well, that's okay, we're going to come to that. I got more evidence.
I mean, listen to me. The issue is whether or not you were open for business on these days.
Yes, we were.
Well, but there's no evidence of that.
Not yet, but it's forthcoming.
Okay. So far, no evidence.
Okay,
Other than your testimony.
other than my
Only your
testimony, which
Well,
is,
she hadn't even said it was open.
I said it was never closed. I did say that quite a few times.
Well, open and never closed is a
Okay.
oxymoron, if I may say so.
Well, it was definitely open on these dates that I'm giving you that I have highlighted here. The 6/27/13 it was open, 9/3/2013 it was opened.
Well, now, wait a minute. Where do you, what document shows that this bar was open? Now,
Well,
I've
we have
got
to go to the
documents
back of
underneath.
it where,
Help her find it.
But you have, go through your documentation and see if you can find the dates and times that it was open.
okay, if we go back to when the inspectors came, that long list that Ms. Moore?
Miss Moore.
Ms. Moore
Yeah, she had the
stated
long
on the
list.
last one.
Mhm.
1 second, let me. Okay, here we go. She had given me a list at the last hearing, and the dates were 3/26/13, 10/4/13, 9/9.
What is the significance of these dates?
That's the dates that your inspectors were supposedly there. Of course, they didn't testify.
And they said we were
These are dates
closed.
that they were we said the bar was not open.
Right, we were closed and not open for business.
Okay. Now, I do not have a list of this, so I don't know
Okay.
where you're getting it.
It's attached, it was the one I showed you in the top.
There you go.
I gave you that right, you have it right here, sir.
I don't want too many papers.
Right there, that's yours. And you have
So
it.
there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 dates
Mhm.
that the inspectors inspected this property. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those dates out of the 9 that we had deliveries from our distributors.
All right, and that was shown me by your motion for reconsideration.
And I have a
which is
whole
one
list
the
of them
reasons
here.
Why you're here.
Okay?
And
Clearly,
show me what you're relying on to show that you had liquor deliveries during this period of time.
it's going to be in the back of your packet.
All right, help me, Mel.
Are we going to be able to see any of these documents?
I can't hear you.
Are we going to be able to see any of these documents?
Sure, see them all. Anything you want, why don't you
So
move
in
up
the
here so you
back.
can reach to them?
Are you Mr. Marvin Cheatham?
Yes.
How do you know?
Make sure we identify ourselves.
Dr. Marvin Cheatham, President Matthew Henson Neighborhood Association.
Right there.
Come on up so you can look at these documents. Show them to them. Show them, let's go, folks. We got a copy? All right, go ahead.
Okay, so out of those 9 inspections,
What am I looking at here? Lil's Place,
yes,
paid.
show you that we did and have
Oh, that's a
deliveries.
delivery of alcohol.
Absolutely, on the dates that the inspector said we were closed, because I believe the opposing party stated several times patently that we were closed for 2 to 3 years. So that's
Where does it
one,
indicate what was delivered on that day?
just,
All I see is
yeah.
cash, 94.41, but nothing, no details.
No,
Oh,
it
here
just
is,
tells
on the
you,
next page.
yeah.
On the next page.
And you can see the dates, you can see the amounts, you can see the distributors' names. I think they may even have the time of delivery, I'm not really sure.
But they don't say what it was delivered.
Well, if you go
On the
there.
next page, maybe.
Yeah, that's Bond Distributors, they deliver beer.
These are all
What's the information?
It's, everybody just hold on.
Yeah, I know we're trying to figure this
These
out.
are all
We can't
2012.
All right, I have here on 11/2/2012. Is that the date we're talking about?
Well, let's go back to the first one on February the 20th of 2013. I believe that the inspector the inspector visited the property on that day. Because I believe, 2/2013 was when the inspection visits, and he said we were closed. Well, we couldn't have been closed because we got a delivery.
actually, it's not a delivery, she just paid on the account.
No, that's a delivery to the facility.
It says- What I have says that she paid cash on account, $94.41. Is there another?
Well, they only bring those receipts when they come to make a delivery.
COD delivery.
She always pays COD if she doesn't do cash or, check or money order. Okay, well, let's go to the next one.
Okay.
Wait a minute.
And so that was one of the days that the inspector
Well, it
came.
doesn't show this was received at an office. I have a feeling that, and I believe you, that it was a delivery, cash paid at that location on that date. Go
Okay.
ahead. What's the next one?
The next one was June the 11th, July the 11th, and December 11th of 2013.
It shows amounts paid.
And that too was a delivery. I'm sorry, excuse me. We had it like, on say July the 12th, that was for June the 11th. August the 8th was for July the 11th, and 10/4, December 11th.
Now, this
So-
looks like a business entry. It doesn't look like a delivery entry.
Well, let's go to the next one.
It's not helpful.
Let's go to bond distributors. That was on,
Now, this is a bond distributing company one?
yeah, and that's Keystone and Steel Reserve. Okay? So you said the inspector visited on 11/2.
Wait a minute, let's take the date. Here is.
I have one on here, it says 11/2, there was an
Take it easy,
inspector.
ma'am. You can have all the time you want. You just have to understand it in order to be able to rule properly.
No
We
problem.
all do. And on 10/18, it shows that this amount of $55.95 was paid for ice and what's
Steel Reserve,
What's
they're
that?
both beers. What I want to say is that the
And
inspector,
delivery signature on the bottom showing, yeah, I can't stop it. Delivery signature and says we'll bring $1.05 next time. Use credit for 405.
that's correct.
That's fine. Put it down.
Objection?
We're putting it down there?
Oh.
Because we're talking about the dates of 2013.
I'm talking about my sign.
Oh,
it's
no.
definitely not your sign.
Well, that's what I'm
But
talking
we're
about.
talking about 2013, and she's giving you data about 2012. We're talking about 2 different years.
You said we were closed for 3 years at the last hearing.
You want to go on my list? She's giving you dates of 2012.
That's
My
true.
understanding, we should be speaking with reference to
I'm
the
not
dates of
done.
the inspector about 2013.
Well, she's going down the list of where the inspectors, you're in the wrong year.
Thank you.
No, this was 20, what I have here, I have 1, 2, 3,
Well,
4,
help me.
5. I have 2 in 2012 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in 2013.
Well, maybe we haven't gotten to 2013 yet, but the one I'm looking at now is 2012.
The one you're looking at now was for the inspector visiting on 11/20, okay? On
No.
11/20 of
No,
2012.
I'm fine. That the evidence that you have submitted to me is for the year 2012. And that's what she said, and okay.
Okay.
I say, now we'll go on to the next one.
Okay, so on 2013, those are the ones that at the very beginning from bond,
All
which
right,
you
the next one is
indicated. 2012
again. Are you going to pass by that one? Is that the same one? It's $1.75 for some reason.
No, I want to go back to 2013, which was the one from bond
All right,
distributors.
the next one, 2012 again. This is what I'm going through, what you gave me.
Right, and I only put those in there to prove that when the inspectors came, we were having deliveries, because the last time we were here, and they kept telling me that we were closed for 3 years. Ms. Hutchinson said, I believe, 2 years, and Mr. Cheatham kept saying 3 consecutive years. So I'm just going from 2011 to 2014. That's my target.
Question for you. The 2013 receipts,
Mhm.
are those in the beginning?
Yes, they're in the beginning, and most of them were destroyed in the fire, from the firefighters.
You mean way in the back?
Yeah.
So I could only retrieve.
Those are 12, yeah. and they're
Oh.
from the beginning.
The record being produced, so.
You need to show us those receipts. Can you see your copy?
That's the same.
It's the same, but you can see that. It's the first one, and first page 1 and page 2.
First one to look like this right here. You've seen this before. It's near the back. It's 2012.
Right.
2013.
Okay,
That's
thank
the only one you have for 2013?
And the second one, just the first 2 pages, is the only one I have for 2013. Uh-oh.
street, Circle Line?
It should be right behind, let me
I
see.
look behind it, the one behind it says 12.
No, the date is June 11th, June 11th.
Mel, why did you have all this?
It's 2013.
Organized, come in here like this. This is.
It's 2013.
This is terrible. She's got all these dates all mixed up. I mean, as your attorney, you should have this stuff straight so you can help us. I haven't gotten to it yet.
It's at the beginning.
Yeah, but when's the beginning?
I still don't see that 2013.
And it doesn't say 2013, that's the
See right
problem.
here. But,
It doesn't say 2013. It
That's
says,
what you have there.
Right.
In your writing, but when I look at the print, it says 12.
okay, well, let's just go past that. We only have the one for 2013 so far. We'll go, just use that one.
No,
But
I
have-
don't have 2013 so far. Okay.
I think you're referring to this as your 2013 evidence?
Yeah, and I also have the Maryland State Lottery for my evidence for 2013 as well.
Let's see your way.
I think the only liquor sale purchase, okay.
All right, this is the one you got.
Yeah,
That's the one there. See, the corner says
Right.
2013.
that's for 2013.
2013.
Oh,
All right, now I have that. Paid cash on account.
All right.
Now, what is it that they paid cash for? Where does it indicate the place is open?
it doesn't indicate that it was open, it just indicates it was a delivery on that date. However, this letter here from Maryland State Lottery can indicate it was open from 2009 to 2013 of June.
Well, it says here that you were approved on December 18, 2009. Lottery sales started on June 3, 2010. The business terminated as a lottery retailer on June 20th, 2013.
Correct. We have bank statements of making deposits, taking money out the bank, putting money in the bank. I mean, they have full records of,
Now, so
Sales.
far, we have you open, the dates are what on that lottery?
December the 18th of 2009 through June the 20th of 2013.
Okay, and we have a delivery of here. Commissioner says here 2/2013, right?
Except I don't read that as a delivery.
I know you don't, and
Okay,
I'm not
all
sure
right.
myself now because of this confusion. But a payment,
It's a payment.
clear. And of course, we don't know what they're paying for, but it looks like a liquor delivery. Because Bond is a company. All right, go ahead, ma'am.
Okay, you have the Maryland Lottery, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, at the last hearing, Ms. Hutchinson made a statement indicating that she did not know who Dr. Gary Rodwell was. Well, he was the person that assisted me when I went to get the barber shop open upstairs. He's at Association of Coppin Heights Community Development Corporation.
What's the point of what you're saying?
That
The opening of the
during
barber
the
shop means that the bar is open?
during the time of me trying to orchestrate to open the, get the zoning to open up for the barber shop, we were definitely open in business and running.
Well, how do we know that?
Well, I'm saying it to you the same way the opposing
Okay,
party.
You got other witnesses going to verify some of this.
Okay, and next I have a police report dated January the 6th of 2014, because we had a break-in and entry, and we were definitely opened. My brother had passed in December, and then the bar got burglarized in January.
Ma'am, let me explain to you. We need evidence that you were open as an operating business at that
Okay.
time, as a bar,
Mhm.
not whether you were broken into or not.
But I just wanna make
Because
su-
you could have been closed and broken into.
Right.
What do you have that shows us that you were open?
I have my witnesses and I have my
That's
other.
why you're here today.
Yeah.
He showed me evidence that I thought should be brought out. So
Okay.
I'm giving you the opportunity to come back down here and show us that you're open, but so far you haven't done it.
All right.
Just step back a second. Let me put some of the witnesses up here. It might be easier.
Okay.
Okay, but no more documents, all
wait,
these documents?
Just hold on and look through them right now while we're
Okay.
putting some testimony. Glenn Scott?
So we're going to interrupt your testimony, and you'll be
That's cool.
subject
You
to
can look through these
cross-examination.
documents in the meantime.
That's fine.
You can Step that down.
All right, come on over, sir.
Wait a
You
minute,
been
let me
sworn?
get out your way.
Yeah.
I think you have. In your name?
Glenn Scott. Glenn
Okay,
Scott.
you're on.
And what's your address?
1902 Pulaski.
1982 Pulaski Street is out close to this location.
You
Up.
testified last time, didn't you?
No, this is my
You
first
were
time
here?
here. This is my first time here.
First time I've ever seen you?
First time I ever seen you.
And we're clear.
Huh?
So where is 1902 in conjunction with this establishment?
Directly across the street.
How long have you lived directly across the street?
I've been directly across the street for a year and a half, but I lived 2 doors at 1905 for about 18 years.
All right, were you
That could say, one right after the other?
Yeah. I moved just before the fire.
Okay.
all right, and were you a patron of Will's?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And did you go in there through all the years in 2010, 11, 12, 13, and 14 up to the fire?
Faithfully.
When you say faithfully, what does that mean? Once a week or twice a week?
I love Budweiser 4 or 5 times a week.
So when those 4 or 5 times a week the place was open and you frequented, is that correct?
Sure.
Up until the time of the fire?
Up until the time of the fire.
And you, besides, you're living, when you said you lived across the street, were you forced to move because of the fire across the street?
No, just fortunately I had to move a week before the fire.
Oh, okay, you were fortunate then. Okay, I'm not.
All right. Any questions? Anybody,
Yes.
counsel?
And no reflection on this gentleman, but it's a question we would ask of all of them. The question and concern that we have, and since they all are under oath, is whether or not any of them have received or have been promised any inducements, any money with reference to this case.
Fair question? Any other question?
Question to me? No, I haven't received anything.
Okay, next question. No other question. All right, any commissioners' questions? If none, next, go ahead.
How much money would you say you would spend each time you went into Will's place?
My average is like about $10.
And what would you drink?
Every day I drink beer. On the weekends I drink Hennessy.
Hennessy?
Yes, ma'am.
Hennessy on the weekends, you step it up on the
Well,
weekends,
I
right?
get paid on the weekends. Can't afford to go in. I'm a bricklayer. Can't afford to go in and fall off the scaffold during the day.
I hear you, I hear you. So what type of beer would you drink?
Budweiser.
Pardon me?
Budweiser.
Budweiser, okay. Thank you.
Who are you,
Sure.
ma'am?
Oh, Adeline Willis Hutchison. I'm the president of the Robert W. Coleman Community Organization and vice president of Greater Madonna. Mr. Scott, first question, have you seen me before?
Started seeing you here recently planting the gardens. You the lady planting the gardens?
Mhm.
I was like, yeah. I said,
Okay. Now, you said that you went to Miss Lil's and you frequent that bar when it was open.
sure.
So are you saying to the courts or to the judges that you've been there in 2013, you frequent there to make purchases, and 2014 you made purchases there? Be careful about what you say because you're under oath, and we do have documentation in the, okay. Be careful what you say. You are under oath. Are you saying that you frequent the establishment in the year 2013
Yes, when they
and
were
2014?
when they're open, I frequently drink beer in that place and play the horses.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
No. Armando?
Next witness.
Excuse me. Can I check my car? Y'all finished with me?
I don't need him. Yes, you can be excused.
Okay, thank you.
Make sure your name and address for the record, please.
Armando,
Well, you gotta talk to the microphone, nobody's ever gonna hear you.
so Armando Cadogan, 8837 Falcon Ridge Drive, Randallstown, Maryland. Cadogan, C-A-D-O-G-A-N. G-A-N.
And do you own the properties at 1906 North Pulaski and 1919 North Pulaski?
Yes.
And how long have you owned them?
06, 07.
Okay, and during that time, you frequent those properties, is that correct?
Yes,
And during that time you were there, did you also go in Lil's, and was Lil's open
all the time.
all the way up till the fire?
Yes, sir.
Now, how often would you go in?
Well, I collect my rent every month. So I gotta go. Sometimes they have a little issues with the plumbing, so I gotta go and fix it. So pretty much every month, I got to go there and get my money.
So during all those times you went there, Will's was also open, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you said you've owned this property since, you said 06, 07?
Yes.
Okay, I have no further questions.
Well, I don't think we're talking about 06, 07. I think the question we would have first
no,
is,
don't argue with it.
are
Ask
you,
questions.
are you saying that you have visited this place 2013, 2014?
Yes.
Okay. What is the owner, you own both of these properties are open?
So I own 1906 North Pulaski and 1990 North
I'm
Pulaski.
asking you, are both properties open?
I mean, I don't know
Those-
what you mean by open. What do you mean
Open,
by
the people
Is
live
someone
there.
living in there?
Yes.
Okay. All I can say, I went there last night, 1919, there's no one in
I'm
there.
going to object.
I'm questioning the validity of this,
I know,
this
but
witness.
you can't argue with the witness, you can only ask him questions, that's where we are
So my
right now.
question is, you're saying
That's what he said, he's,
okay,
al-
that 1919 is presently open? Right now?
People live there.
Occupied, right now? I'm not arguing with you, I'm just asking the question.
The
Occupied.
people is occupied there. People occupy there.
Okay,
I have a tenant in there.
that's my question.
Sir, one at a time, no arguing.
We're not arguing. I'm not arguing. He questioned my integrity, and I'm an owner and a businessman. So I'm just letting you know.
I'm trying to do my job.
I understand that, but he questioned me. That's all.
Wait, that's not.
I understand.
Stop.
Yeah.
okay, let's go.
Anything else?
No, I'm fine.
Wait a minute, any questions, Commissioner?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Yes.
All right, so if I'm hearing correctly, you would go to 1906 and 1919 every month to collect rent from your tenants?
Yes.
Okay, so what time would you go to collect your rent?
Varies.
And give me the options.
Evening, 6:30. Occasion around that time, pretty much because they get off from work.
Okay.
And I will meeting at 6:31. The 1919, I will meeting at 6:30, 7 o'clock. Sometimes, depending on the traffic, we communicated. She said, well, I'm running a little late. And 1906 usually paid by tomorrow, which is the 5th. She got 5 great period guessing that she said by that. The 1919 pay at the end of the month, 26, 20, 21st of the month. She paid a little late, but she paid. She paid rent. And the 1906 is directly across, like me facing the George right here. As you cross the bar. So we always go over there. Say hello to Miss Liz, drink a glass of water. You're not a big drinker. You drink a lot, talk about politics, what Obama doing, what Obama don't do. And I go about my business. Sometimes when they were late, I would get up my car, go into the bar, and I would sit there, sometimes an hour, waiting for the tenant to come, so I could go and collect my money.
Okay, so
for the next
do
question.
you recall when you were there whether other people were there? Or was it
Yeah,
usually
sometimes,
just
yeah,
you and Miss
she-
Little
she-
talking
she-
politics?
She like talk politics, or we talk politics. I see people. Sometimes I see a lady there, an older lady there, but I don't know them.
Okay,
You
so
know.
let me ask you this. How much money would you spend?
I didn't
in
say I
the-
didn't drink in a place.
Oh, you didn't drink
I
anything?
drink a glass of water, not a drinker.
Okay, I understood. All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
When was the last time you were in there when the bar was open?
Before the fire, I would say.
After the fire?
Before the
Before
fire.
the fire?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? No? Next witness. You
Mr.
may,
Scott?
may this witness be excused?
Yes.
You may be excused.
Thank you.
No, it's okay.
No, you got a lawyer
Yeah,
handling your
State your name
case.
and address for the record, please.
Savon Cox,
And
my
Ms.
address. I'm formerly of 2214 Walbrook Avenue. I currently reside at 918 East 20th Street.
And along with this particular location, did you frequent this location?
Yes.
Were you a patron?
Yes.
Up till what time? Up till the time of the fire?
I'd say until the time of the fire, that is correct.
And how often were you in there?
I frequented that location prior to moving on a regular basis. I was born and raised in the 2200 block of Walbrook Avenue. My mom and dad still live there. I am 58 years of age. I've known that bar to be open continuously all the time until that fire.
And do you know the owners?
Yes.
All right, so
you know from going in there because you know the owners. Is that
Exactly.
correct? You know Ms. Dale.
I know Ms. Dale, I know Ms. Driver, I know many of the persons in the neighborhood. Can I ask a question?
You have a
From the
counsel-
community, from
No.
people in the community? No? Okay.
Wait, if she testifies, you can ask.
Okay.
Is there anything else you want to add at this point?
No, I mean, I can answer any questions that you'd like to
All right, do you have any questions?
address.
All right, first.
Yes, I have a question. I'm Adeline Hutchison, the president of the community organization. May I ask you, were you paid or offered any compensation to come down here today?
No, ma'am.
Second question, are you one of the people in the described neighborhood that Ms. Lil loans money to?
No, ma'am, I work. I work for a living. I work
asking.
for a living.
Okay.
My mother she attends meeting. Evelyn Cox attends meeting with Robert W. Coleman. I went to Robert W. Coleman Elementary School. My son went to the new school, which is by Douglas.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
Questions? All right, any, commissioner questions?
Can I ask a question?
No, ma'am,
I
no.
can't. Okay.
I just have a question. How
Sure.
often, how much money would you spend in the bar when you would go in?
It would vary anywhere from $5 to $20. If it was 20, I was playing lottery as well as having a drink after work.
Okay. And what would you drink?
E&J Brandy.
What's that? Oh, E
It's
and
E&J Brandy.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I was raised on Walbrook Avenue, too.
Awesome. Mom and Dad are still there. Been married 60-plus years.
Good.
And I would, what time would you go into the bar?
I get off from work when I did go prior to me moving. I've been at my new address in East Baltimore for about 3 years now. Prior to that, I was there on a regular basis. I would get off the bus at Pulaski Street, and I would stop, even if I wasn't getting anything, I would stop and say hi. Miss Lil is an older person, and sometimes she's in there by herself, and the community gentlemen look out for her to ensure her safety and things like that. And I would just keep her company for a few. Check on her, see how she's doing, how's family. She'd ask me about my family, things like that. And then I go on home. I don't spend a lot of time when I go now that I've moved because it gets dark early. I want to get home safe.
Right. So you moved about 3 years ago?
Yes, ma'am.
So it's been about 3 years since you...
No, I've still come over
wait,
because I
didn't get to
still
finish
visit my mom and
question.
dad. I'm sorry.
Okay, so you still go and you visit the area, but it's been about 3 years since you would go to Miss Lil's on a regular basis.
No, I've always gone on a regular basis prior to the fight.
I thought you said that since you moved
Since
to
I
East
moved.
20th Street, you don't go as often because you
I
want to
don't.
get home.
I don't go as
Okay.
often, but I still go.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All righty.
All right.
Thank you.
And you're welcome.
May this witness be excused?
Maybe
Huh?
excused.
Thank you so much.
Cool.
Take care.
Mr.
Thank you, sir.
Thomas Comine? Can you state your name and address?
Thomas J. Comine, 4014 East Lubbock Street. How are you, Anna?
Thomas Komar.
Comine.
Comine.
You are in...
Could he
the
spell it,
vending machine
please?
What?
Could you spell your last name?
COMI.
Very well-known name.
Yeah, I worked for you when the House of Delegates, the first time you ran.
Thank you.
COMI.
You are in the vending machine business, is that
Yes,
correct?
sir.
And you've been in vending machine business for how long?
40 years.
40 years. And this is one of your locations, is
Yes.
that correct? And you, when you I say vending machine, you maintain various...
I had
vending
a
machines at
music
that
box
location?
in there, just some music.
Okay, and then have you continuously
I didn't get that.
had a music box in
You
there?
need to wait till he's finished the question before you answer.
So you had a music box in there?
Yes.
And you have a license for the music box?
Yes.
And it's a copy of the license, and I'll submit for 2015.
Yes.
And did you continuously
Wait a
have...
minute, whoa, stop. Music box says 2014.
The
Lil's
city
Place.
made a mistake on that address.
I see.
Lil's Place.
You want-
And
Mark it as an exhibit.
How long have you had machines, jukebox in there?
I'd say 15 to 20 years.
And is it continuous up through to the time of the fire?
Absolutely. Why would I pay $400 or $500 for a license if it wasn't open?
And you would visit there how often?
I'd go in there every 2 weeks.
And you were in there, the place had to be open, is that correct?
It was open, yes.
I have no further questions.
All right, council, parties?
Yes.
Approved associations?
Was any damage done to your property when the fire happened next door and the damage was done?
Just the CDs had smoke damage, that's all.
The second question, do you have any documents you submit that you've been doing this for this many years? 'Cause the document that we're seeing is only
Well,
saying 2014.
Well, I could bring in license I have for the license, but the city, but I figured year 14, why would you buy a license if you didn't need it?
I'm not questioning why, I'm just
Huh?
saying the document that we saw only said 2014, so I'm
That's
just,
all you
just trying to
need.
get some
That's all it is.
information. Well, we're not discussing 2014
Don't
only.
argue- don't
We're
argue.
discussing 2013 and
Yeah.
2014.
He's told you
The
his
second
reasons.
question, have
Wait a
you been
minute,
paid?
Huh?
My fault.
Wait till I rule.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
ruling, ask the next question, don't argue with the witness. Go
Yes,
ahead.
sir.
That's his answer.
Okay,
Why
one
would you
additional
do-
question.
Why would you pay money for a license for another year? Go ahead, sir.
Do you have receipts for any of the payments that Lowe's has paid you?
Yes.
Do you have
No.
those with you?
No, I don't have one.
All right. Ms. Hutchison, are you on or what?
No,
You're finished?
we're together.
Okay. And commissioners?
When would you go and collect the money?
Every
for
2
the-
weeks
Okay, and where would you go?
in the business.
Okay, and do you recall the address?
Well, it's Pulaski Street 5. I got other locations on Pulaski Street too. So, I've been going in there 15, 20 years. I know everybody in the neighborhood. I'm sort of,
Okay, and what time would you go?
I'd go in 10, 11 o'clock. And it was
AM?
open. I knew the customers
In the morning?
in the morning. Yeah.
Okay. This license, when was that issued?
That was issued in 14. I usually get them December. They give you it out in December.
So
Now, if I get my license now in December, I'll have 15.
all right, now let's just focus on the one for Lil's Place.
Right.
When was this issued?
That was issued in December of
2013?
13.
December 2013?
Right.
And it was issued by the city of Baltimore?
Yes, sir. Yes,
And do they
ma'am.
issue it to you, and then you
No,
give
to
it?
my company.
Well, hold on,
Uh-huh.
okay? Do they issue it to you, and then you took it to Lil's Place?
That's
Is
correct.
that how it happened?
That's how it-
And how much did this cost? How much is
I
the
think
license?
about $400
$400 for the
license.
license for a jukebox?
Yes,
Is that
mhm.
basically what it is? Now, are you familiar with a company called Vind Lease?
What's,
Vind Lease?
no.
Okay, that's not you. No. Okay. All right, thank you.
May I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
Now, you said this was issued by the city of Baltimore. Now, according to this, it has Lil's Place at 546.
The city
Lane.
made a mistake.
The city made a mistake
Mistake, yes.
on your license?
That's what he
Yes.
said before.
On your license?
Correct.
All right, anything else? Can he be excused?
You can excuse, yeah.
You be
Thanks.
excused.
Mark White?
Oh, I just have one
I'm sorry?
question. Mr. Comey,
Oh, my.
Komai, come on back to the microphone if you would. How much money did you spend in Lil's
I didn't
Place?
spend nothing. I'm working.
Okay, did you ever purchase alcohol?
No, never.
From Lil's Place?
No.
Did you ever get a
No.
Diet Pepsi?
No, it's
Nothing.
old business.
All right, you never consumed,
No.
made any purchase
No.
from Lil's Place? Okay,
Well,
thank you very much.
Follow up on one of your questions that you had, if I may. You mentioned Vend Lease. Did you hear of Columbia Vending?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the purpose of that question?
I understand, and I'm thinking that Commissioner would know about another vending company. Vend Lease is not a vending company, it's a leasing company. Columbia is the
Vending.
amusement vending part of
Okay.
All right,
Thanks.
thank you.
it. Mr. White? State your name.
And he's been sworn.
Mark White, 1210 Kevin Road.
All right, now, with regard to that, what relationship do you have to this location, or what, I'm sorry?
What's his name? What's going on?
Mark White, 1210 Kevin Road.
All right.
And what relationship do you have to Lil's, or are you in the area, do you have a business, or?
No, we're good friends. My mom's go to church right around the corner. I'm a member of the church right on Bentlow and North Avenue.
And did you frequent the place when it was open?
Yes,
And then you frequented up to the time of the fire?
yes.
Okay. And how often would you go there?
Me probably twice a month. Yeah.
And then what time of day you would go there?
the afternoon or night, mostly.
Well, I'm sure one of the commissioners is gonna ask you what you drank. What did you drink in there?
Steel Reserve.
Steel Reserve? Okay, I have no further questions.
All right.
Yes, can I ask some
Go
questions?
ahead, Ms. Hutchins.
Mr. White, you indicated your address is 1012 Kevin Road.
1210, yeah.
1210, yeah, I'm sorry. Did you live in the community, or the neighborhood of Miss Lil's bar?
No,
You never lived there?
no,
Okay, you're just a friend of hers.
yes.
I moved that we scratch this witness because he don't even live in the community, so I
Denied.
he can't testify.
Denied. You want to ask any question? All right. Commissioners, questions?
When is the last time that you were at Lil's place?
Maybe the end of 13, yeah. Around this time, 13 sometime, yeah.
How much would you spend at Lil's place when you would go there?
Maybe 10, 15 hours.
All right, thank you.
Right.
Any other questions? None? May this witness be excused? You excused, sir.
Oh, yeah.
State your name and address to the record, please.
James Odom, 3503 Holmes Avenue,
And how do you spell your last name?
ODOM.
And you have been sworn, correct?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
And then, were you a customer of Lil's?
Yes, I was a customer of Lil's. I've been around that area for about, ever since I was 5, so we say 54 years.
All right, and how often would you go into Lil's?
I go on to Lil's just about every day. Especially when she first got it, I was in there before she got it. So, you know,
Before
that's
she
how
what?
I was in there before she got the bar, when the Club 15 was right there. So,
Would you go in there almost every day up to the time of the fire?
yeah, up to the time of the fire. Well, I didn't hit racetrack tickets, lottery, and Lil's. So, yeah, I go in there mostly every day.
And I guess what is it, I'd be interested in what you drink when you're there. What did you drink?
Remy Martin, VSOP.
There you go. I have no further questions.
Question?
Question, yes. First, thanks for being here.
How you doing?
How many drinks would you drink, and how much would you spend?
Well, I would drink a few drinks, but I'd be playing the racetrack and, you know what I mean, the horses. That's the horses come on TV, and I'd be playing that. Now, when I'm getting ready to go, I might get a pint to go.
Same question. How many drinks would you drink, and how much would it cost?
Well, you drink
I'm a
the
former
two-
bar owner.
All right. Well,
That's why I'm asking the question, okay?
Well, the 2 drinks. I'll drink a double shot of Remy Martin, VSOP, which Lil charged me $16.
Not a bad price.
No, it wasn't.
Not a bad price.
No.
Okay. And you did say your address was 3503?
Holmes Avenue.
Holmes Avenue, okay. Just trying to make the record clear. It's only been one person living across the street so far.
Yeah, but I've been around there all my life. Still is.
May I ask you a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you ever borrowed any money from Miss Lil?
No, I've let Lil money.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
You say you've been around the neighborhood almost all your life.
Yes.
Have you ever, were you ever a member of a community organization, and did you ever support the community?
I
Wait a
supported
minute,
the
wait a minute. If so, in what way?
Okay. I wasn't part of the community association, but just like last year, we gave a cookout in Herbert Street for the whole community. Everybody was invited. We also gives Pulaski Street Union up at the school. Everybody's invited. Food is free.
What, you did what?
That's every August, the first Saturday in August.
Yeah.
Yeah. We does that, and we just started this thing, giving it in Herbert Street now that everybody love it.
Okay, may I offer a comment, not
Yes, ma'am.
a question?
No.
Okay, okay. I'll give a comment later then.
Okay, any other questions?
Mr. Odell?
Odom.
Odom.
ODOM. ODOM.
Odom.
Mhm.
You have a voice for radio. You've been told that before, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
my father got a deep voice.
Oh, it's-
His mother used to live right across from that bar.
Really?
Yes.
Wonderful. So, so you would spend about $16 when you would?
Yeah, at least.
At least.
At least 16. You know what I mean? I'm going to have a drink. I'm going to play the racetrack. Now, some days I just come in and play the racetrack.
Okay.
And play my lotteries and I leave.
So when you were there last, when was that? When were you last there?
I was there like, the last time I was really in Lils was like the end of 13. It was like when her son died. She was kind of sad, and I just wanted to sit through there. And, you know, after then, you know, kind of laid back a little bit.
Okay.
But I was also down the Spirit of Chesapeake, which is an Elks Lodge, so I couldn't be up there as much.
Okay. Well, that's divided loyalty. When you were there, the end of 13, were you able to play the
Yes.
the lottery
Yes.
horse thing?
Right.
Okay. Did you win?
I paid taxes on a couple tickets. So,
back
yeah,
in
so I was
December
doing pretty good. I was
2013?
doing pretty good.
Sounds like it. Sounds like it. Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, may this witness be excused.
Thank
All right, next witness, if any.
Mr. Samuel Ware? Ware, W-A-R-E. State your name and address to the record, please.
Name Ware, Samuel Ware. Address is 4034 McDonald Road, Reynolds-Town, Mellon, 21133.
Now,
you related.
Wait a minute, did I catch it Webb or Ware?
Ware, W-A-R-E.
Okay, good.
Lil is my sister, and
You're related to,
Dell and
no,
Lil.
that's your sister
That's my sister, and this is my niece.
and your niece. So
Yeah.
you're on the premises and you've been to this location on numerous occasions, is that correct?
Yes, like, I work, and, you know, like, I comes down through and I checks out. I don't smoke or drink or anything like that, but I just come by and check out on my way to work, or from work.
Has the place been open up to the time of the fire?
I can say yes.
How many times would you go through there?
Maybe 2-3 times a week I stop through, just say hello on my way.
Okay, looking out for your sister.
Mhm.
I'm not for
Any other questions? More questions?
Did we hear you correctly? You said you've been there since the fire?
Since the fire.
Uh-huh.
I came through a couple of times to check the building out, where the fire occurred, whatever. I never been in.
That's the question.
Excuse me. If I understood the attorney's question, I think he
Can you
asked
talk just a little louder? You
Oh,
use the mic.
I'm sorry.
Mhm.
If I understood the attorney's question, he asked you, had you been there since the fire? And you said, yes, you had.
Since the fire.
Yes, then you said, yes, you had.
No, I haven't been there since.
Oh,
the fire.
but you said yes. Okay, maybe I misunderstood it.
Okay. Any other questions of commissioners? No questions. May you be excused?
Yes.
You're excused, sir. Next
One
witness.
more here.
Huh?
It's rare that I get people coming down, so
Got one more?
state your name and address to the record. Let me get this down here for you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Doris Booker, 1505 Burnwood Road.
All right, now, Ms. Booker, you are familiar with this place?
Yes.
How often did you frequent it when it?
Well, I go back a many years with Miss Lil, so after she had the bar, I started going there. Yes, I'm quite familiar with the place. I go there and play my lotteries and all.
You don't play the horses, do you?
No, about them.
All right, along with that, you would go down there up until the time of the fire, is that correct?
Oh, yes.
How often would you go there?
At least 2 or 3 times a week.
And she'd be open?
Yeah, she'd be open every time I go there.
And the place was functioning as a bar? correct?
Yes, it was.
And then, for what period of time did you start going down to see Miss Lil?
I've been knowing Miss Lil for about 8 or 9 years, so I knew she had a bar, and I would stop in frequently after I'd get off from work or something.
Okay, I have no further questions.
Questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
Ms. Booker?
Yes.
Hi.
Hi,
I'm
how are
sorry.
you?
Ms. Booker, you said you've known Ms. Lil for quite a while.
Mhm.
Are you aware that since the fire at the establishment, then one of the business people in the neighborhood have been asked if they were interested in buying that property?
Well,
No.
I'm going to object. That has no relevance here.
Well, it really doesn't, but I'll allow the question.
I don't know anything about the people in the neighborhood. I'm not familiar, I'm not from that area.
Okay, so you never lived in the community?
No, I haven't.
You just know her as a personal
We're
friend?
not making out too well
Yes.
tonight.
Yeah,
I
have
know
a
some.
personal relationship, I mean.
Well, I stop in and give her my business.
Okay,
And-
and during the time of 2013 and 2014, you've been there?
Well, 2014 bar was burned up.
I'm just asking a question.
No.
Oh,
Mm-mm.
you went there in 2013?
Yes, I did.
Okay, thank you.
Anything?
Yes. You have to know what this is.
Yeah.
I wouldn't object. I don't know what relevance any of this has at this
I
point.
think I can show the relevance. The question is,
I
do
can't
you know
even see it.
why Baltimore City Police put a crime watch camera? Here's Lil's, it's right there. Do you have any reason to know why the police department would put a crime camera?
Go on
Right by-
Washington and land Lafayette, and they can put one there too.
No, I'm asking, do you know why they did
Of course.
this one?
Yes, I know why.
Well, I'm asking.
Do I know why?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I'm sure to observe what's going on.
Just observe.
You read me.
The reason I'm asking this question, one of the concerns that we have
No.
is I'm trying to get her to answer my question.
No.
So she doesn't have to answer my question.
No, don't argue with me.
I surely won't.
And I've ruled that you're arguing with the witness, and you're now going to try to give an explanation, but you can try to develop whatever you want to develop by asking this witness questions. Now, you've asked her, why would the police put a crime camera there? Now, what other questions? do you
That's
have?
it, that's it. That's
And
it.
she's answered what
Okay.
she thought
We're
was her
good.
answer.
We're good.
Okay. All right. Commissioners' questions.
Very briefly, Ms. Booker.
I haven't seen a picture, by the way. And I don't know the date of this picture.
Today.
Today?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Submitted by the city of Baltimore.
Mhm. And where is the bar in question? Which property would it be?
It's this one right here.
On the side? Okay. And what is that, an alley, a public alley running right beside it?
That's Herbert Street.
That's Herbert Street.
That's Herbert Street.
Herbert Street, okay. You see?
Well, no objection, I guess we'll continue for
Mhm.
Robinson.
Okay. Go ahead, next one.
Ms. Booker?
Yes.
How much money would you spend at Lil's place?
I don't drink.
You don't drink?
No, but I do play a lot of lotteries.
Okay. So you've never purchased any alcohol or liquor or beer from
Not for
Lil's
myself.
Never?
Mm-mm. I've been in there had someone with me who did.
Okay. And do you know how much that person spent,
About $15 or $20 plus lottery.
plus lottery?
Mhm.
And when were you last at Lil's place?
Oh, see, when the bar burned down. I guess around February or March. February before it burned down. First part of the year of 13. But I don't, the bar burned down March.
I don't want you to misspeak, of 2013 or 2014?
No, 14.
2014?
No, wasn't no bar.
No bar in 2014?
No,
So
it's
you
not.
were there in 2013?
Yes.
And you think you were last there the beginning of the year of 2013?
And prior
And prior to that?
years.
And prior years?
Mhm.
By any chance, did you ever go there after, say, Thanksgiving of 2013?
No.
No. Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. All right. Have a
Anything
good day.
else? May this witness be excused? You're excused, ma'am.
Thank you.
Recall Dale Watkins. State your name and address for the record.
Sorry. Dale Watkins, 1909 North Pulaski.
What is it that you want to add?
I just want to add a few more documentation and then show some pics. If your establishment is closed,
Is what closed?
no, if your business is closed, you would not pay retail sales taxes.
Now, are we having an argument now? on-
No, I'm
Let's
just
get-
making a
well,
statement.
Let's,
What is it you're showing, you want to show the board?
I've gone down from, I went back from 2008 to 2014 until the fire of showing retail sale taxes being paid.
so the document you're entering shows what?
Resale sales taxes from
And what dates?
2008 to 2014, just before the bar burned down.
Now, these are sales taxes.
Retail sales taxes, you have to, you know,
2008
all the way up to 14.
through 2014. Let's take a look at it.
Sure. And you can see 14 was not much because January, we had a break-in. Okay. I got a headache. Can I have some water, please?
Now, I got a Baltimore City fee. What is that? You handed me that.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that, sir. And I also would like to.
What was your answer to that? That had nothing to do with it.
What is it for?
Pass it on when you're finished.
It's a declaration of inventory given to the city for tax purposes.
We were open in 2013.
And here's the sales taxes.
And what is,
You know, you have to attend the BADD, so we would not attend if we were closed to receive the certificate. So I'd like to put this into evidence as well.
tell them about your alcohol awareness certificate.
Oh,
Oops, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
Okay, mark that, all these exhibits into evidence. Michelle? Okay. Mark this into evidence too.
Reflect back on the 25 signed petition that Ms. Hutchison presented in the last hearing. Out of these 25 signatures, 14 of them are forged. And I say that because, no, we don't have a forger here to look at the handwriting, you know, but if you look at this visibly, they all have the same writing for the same address. The signatures are the same, the crossings of the T's, the P's, etc.
All right, and mark this as exhibit.
So that's integrity.
Give it to
and
my
character.
expert on forgery.
I mean, I'm just saying that's integrity and character.
All right, now with regard to your request for the board for transfer, how is your particular experience go with regard to the operation of this establishment?
I've been helping my mom since 1989.
So you're familiar with the operation of the bar,
Totally.
and you would be a person that would interact with the neighborhood, is that correct?
Absolutely. I have investors that are purchasing properties there, trying to upgrade it, update it, and give folks something to come home to that's decent. That's why I have implemented many of my investors to purchase, including myself. My ultimate goal before the fire was to actually get the name of the street changed to Lil. That was my dream, but as of yet, it has not happened. But I also want to present this as evidence as well. This is Mr. Henson's area. We are not a part of his association. I also went down
Wait a
to,
minute, I didn't understand your point here.
okay, see that yellow, where I have it yellow?
See where you have
yeah.
marked yellow street.
That is his portion of his community association, which is not,
Who is his?
I'm sorry, Mr. Henson, Mr. Cheatham.
She thinks I'm Mr. Henson.
I'm sorry, Mr. Cheatham. That's his association.
man you're talking
Yes, sir. And we're nowhere near that boundary. And to further prove that, I have got a color-coded map here. And Pulaski and Herbert is not in their boundaries. We're surrounded by them, but we are not bound to them, because it clearly shows the color code coordination that we have nothing to do with their organization. I'm sorry, their community association. We're not a part of it at all.
Anything else of this witness?
Yes, I have some pictures.
Can you just submit the pictures and let the board look at them?
Sure, but I want to specifically talk about the school. The school that they implemented last hearing is 4 blocks to the north and 3 blocks east. It is not nowhere near Lil's place. And I don't see any kids walking up and down the streets. I see older people or teenagers, but I've never had the pleasure of seeing, kids. Yes, they do come in the summertime, but I don't see that. And these pictures here are the Henson's Association. This is how they take care of their association. Yes. And here is
Wait a minute. These are pictures
of their association.
of the areas inside their boundary line?
Correct.
Okay. And your point here is what?
Well, we're not a part of that association, number one. Number two,
Okay.
when you have a community association, you would want to try and upgrade and update the properties. You know, I mean, more importantly, this is where they want to plant their fruit trees. This is every single day. I've been there every day since the last hearing taking pictures.
Let me ask you to stop for a minute. I want to catch up with the exhibits and
Okay.
get them marked. I've lost one exhibit, the first picture. Okay.
The
Mark
school.
that as, that's a picture of the school, and mark that as the next exhibit number.
Okay.
And now we have a collection of pictures. Mark that as combined exhibit next number.
Okay.
All right, now I'm caught up with you. Go ahead.
Okay, awesome. This is where Ms. Hutchinson is planting her fruit trees. We need to get rid of the rats first, and I have several million calls at 311 trying to get that implemented. This
Well-
is another picture of where the fruit trees are going to go, which is next to a condemned building.
Are you criticizing somebody that's trying to improve
No,
the
absolutely
neighborhood?
not. I am myself trying to help the neighborhood, but we got to do
Yeah.
do one thing at a time. We got to get rid of the rats first.
You
You know,
know,
we
when I
got to
was a
work
city-
together as team, not against each other.
I know, but ma'am, people, when you live in a city, all of us are in the same boat.
I know,
We're always trying to do something to help our neighborhood.
exactly.
And we've all been through it, I have to say. I think everybody here, including the commissioners, have
Absolutely.
had their experiences, and I certainly have. And so I'm going to, do you want me still?
You don't have to, but this one I do want as an exhibit because this shows that, I think she said the properties were vacant. They're all
Is
occupied.
this your street? Now, what is
Yes,
it?
right across from the bar.
Okay, well, I will certainly I'll accept anything you give me, but.
And this is
will
also
be the
across
next
from the
exhibit.
bar, which they are occupied. There's only one there that's not occupied.
All right, you have more than one in this group?
And then this is just the bar itself.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the alley of the bar, Herbert Street. I just want to show that we do keep it maintained.
All right, we'll put collectively, the next exhibit, Markham, please.
Yes, sir.
Is that all you want to add?
I do have a question.
Okay. All right, you finished? Direct
I'm a
exam,
little
wait a minute, finished direct
Yeah,
examination?
For now, we have some rebuttal, but we'll go
Okay.
ahead now.
Commissioner.
I'm a little concerned. I mean, I listened well. That's why I accepted the questions. But am I to understand that because Dr. Cheatham is involved for the community, you can hold him accountable for every ill in the community?
Oh, absolutely not.
That's the mindset I'm getting. I mean, he's fighting for the community. I understand why he's here, why they're here. But my question to you is that because he's here contesting your transfer, do you feel that he should be directing his attention elsewhere rather than?
No, he should continue to try to and strive to get that community together. I mean, it's 96% blacks, 1% white. Poverty is under $30,000. We need to work together as a team. But I'm not saying take our livelihood from us. I don't have a problem working with Mr. Cheatham.
You answer.
All right, wait a minute, cross-exam.
Yes. Well, I'm not going to argue. I'm happy to be a neighborhood president. I was president
No, don't
23
make a
years
speech
ago.
now. Whoa,
I've been attacked.
I'm going to hold you down now.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Questions?
Let me first say questions. Do you recognize 1813 North Pulaski Street?
1813?
1813 North Pulaski Street.
That's on the other side of North Avenue, correct?
I'm asking you, do you recognize this? 1813 Pulaski, right here.
No, I don't recognize 1813 Pulaski.
This is coming from, present this. This is coming from the Matthew A. Henson Neighborhood Association.
Once you said you didn't recognize it, I don't know what you.
I'm trying to explain what document I'm presenting. It's coming from the Community Law Center. The Community Law Center is representing Matthew Henson. This house is less than a block from you. It's across the street. You're in the 1900 block. This is the 1800
The
block
question
of the
was,
same
does she
street.
recognize? She said, no, I don't know what we're
Okay,
doing here.
Well,
Well, he's identifying it.
I'm
I think you've
identifying.
identified it properly, and I think we're past that
we
point.
have some questions that we would like to ask.
Okay.
One, have you submitted any documents today? We've gotten the same copies that the board has. Have you presented any documents today to show invoices, other than one that's handwritten? Have you presented any documentation to substantiate invoices from Bond Distributing, since that seemingly is the company you use the most, for either 2013 or 2014, because you've not presented it? Are you presenting any documents to substantiate invoices of payments in the year 2013 and 2014? Because other than the one signed document,
Well, don't argue.
that's the only one we see.
Mr. Cheatham, as I
Yes,
have
sir.
to advise you again and again and again, is your opportunity will come. Now, do you understand his question?
Yes, well, invoice 22551 identifies there was a delivery from customer 2590 on February the 20th of 2013. It just does not disclose or display the product. And in regard to 2014, well, on January 6th, it was burglarized, and then we tried to recoup in February to get it back up and running from the burglary for stealing all of our liquor and coming through the roof. So March comes and it catches fire. We come here in April to try to get some hardship.
All right, next question.
You're saying, my question is, you're saying documents from 2012 in which you were submitted were not damaged, but the documents for 2013 and 2014 were?
If you look closely, they're sporadically, because I could not get all of them. I got what I could get and what I could salvage from the fire, and in addition to making calls to the distributors and having them email or fax me the information that I had requested. So you will see stagnation, but clearly it goes from 2010, way surpassed from what you said the last time. We were 3 years closed consistently and consecutively. We have not been closed at all until the fire. Even the witnesses under oath stress
Don't argue,
that.
ma'am. Just answer his questions.
Next question. Other than the one witness that lived, I think, 1902, are there any other witnesses that lived in the block? Your attorney said
Yeah.
that there were numerous that he was presenting. Are there others that you're
1906.
Let him finish his question. You finished, sir?
You finished?
No, I wasn't.
Go ahead.
My question, I'm trying, the attorney indicated that there were a number of people who lived in the block that they were bringing as witnesses. I've only heard one, and I'm asking her, are there other witnesses that she is presenting to substantiate she was open, that lived in the block, as her attorney stated?
You
Well,
understand the question?
Yeah, I do. There's several other people in the block but could not make it today. They live directly across the street. However, that camera, the device that you showed, I'm pretty sure that can show everybody comes in and out the bar.
My final question, if okay. We received a document dated October the 23rd. I was here at the hearing in August. We were concerned back then with reference to the days that the location was open. Are you saying that Mr. Baldwin and Mr. Ray are incorrect on 1/2/20, 3/23, 7/12, 8/8, 9/9, and 10/14? These two gentlemen are wrong in that your place was open? And if you're saying it was open, why haven't you showed us any invoices in these dates to reflect that your place was open?
What I did show to coincide with those dates of the inspectors was deliveries from different distributors. So we had to be there to accept the deliveries. We were not just, we were there. I don't know what else to say about that. I mean, you can't accept a delivery if you're not there. So if we're accepting deliveries, we're purchasing for our business to make money. We're not just sitting there getting deliveries not to make any money or keep the business open.
Your Honor, we did not receive any documents to reflect any deliveries in 2013.
Well, you can argue later.
We're not.
Any other questions of this witness?
I don't, but I'm pretty certain.
No? You have any questions?
Yes, I did.
All right, come to the mic.
From the documents that we received from the files, it stated that I think the owner was supposed to meet certain criteria as well. One of the things that or two of the things I want to ask you is, did you contact the community organization either prior to October 23rd or since October 23rd, the last meeting, or attended any of the community meetings?
No, because we don't belong to the association community.
Business, okay, that's not,
That's her answer.
okay, okay. Also, let me ask you this, if they were to rule in your favor today, to reopen your establishment, what benefit is it that the sale of alcohol would bring to the community?
The sale of alcohol would bring to the community?
Yes. Yes.
The sale of alcohol is a business. It's a business entity for business owners. And some of them, it's their livelihood, just like any other store, just like any other business. I am not going to stand here and say that beer or liquor affects or the crime rate. No, guns and drugs affect the crime rate, not alcohol. If that was the case, then why is it that the distributors, why are they producing liquor to give, to produce to the distributors who distribute to their businesses in bars, in casinos, in hotels? I mean, it's a business.
Okay.
We never had any problem at the bar. We never had
wait a
any.
minute. Next question. Any question?
Yes. Next question is, you mentioned the planting of the fruit trees. I'm going to make a statement to that. Then
Well,
I'm
no, I think she kind of withdrew that. Her criticism, she kind of backed up on that. And she did not present the pictures as evidence. So that's off the board.
Okay.
We all agreed on that. You
okay.
and me and everybody else.
Okay. All right. And I guess I want to make a statement in regard to the location of the bar.
I'll make an objection.
Sustain. You have a question to test, you have time to testify, but this is not the time to make a statement.
I don't mean.
Questions.
Question. Okay, no.
All right.
I
Any
have
oth-
a couple of witnesses.
All right.
That'd be our case in chief subject to rebuttal.
Okay. Any questions of this witness
Yes.
by the commissioners?
Yes. You've mentioned a couple times that the bar was broken into in January of 2014.
January 6th.
Right. Did you go there and support your mom when
Absolutely,
when
when
that
it
happened?
happened.
Were you there when she gave the police report?
I have the. Did I give you guys the
Oh, I
report?
have the police
Yeah.
report. I'm just asking if you were there.
I'm pretty sure I was there.
Okay. Were you there when your
Maybe the next day. I'm not sure. I can't remember, to be honest.
Okay. Where does your mother live?
1109 Kevin Road.
Kevin Road?
Mhm.
Okay. So I got a copy of the police report. Do you have a copy of it?
I may have given it to.
We do have a copy of it.
You gave us a copy of the citation. We pulled the police report. I'm going to hand that to you.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Yeah.
And if you just look at page 2, and take a quick look, and then I'm going to ask you some questions.
Is this page 2? Okay.
All right, so you're not mentioned in the report at all. But at page 2, do you see where it says at approximately 16:54 hours, Officer Hunnett responded to Lil's place for a commercial burglary? And can we agree that 16:54 hours, that's military time, it's 4:54 p.m.? Does that sound about right to you?
That's what he has on here.
Okay. And is your mother's birthday, it looks like that's February 13, 1929. Does that sound right? or
I don't-
7, what is your mother's date of birth?
3/3/33.
Okay.
I don't know what that.
It says Ms. Lily
That
Driver.
says- I'm sorry, 2/3. That's correct. 2/3/33.
Okay.
She's
all right.
81 years old.
Okay, wonderful. Then the next sentence says, Ms. Driver stated she comes to get the mail every few days, and this day, some unknown black male exited the side door, and she was told that by a neighbor. Do you see that?
Miss Driver stated she comes, yeah, I see that.
All right, so she told the police that she only came there every few days to pick up the mail.
Okay.
All right, you see that. And then I want you to go down. It says the crime lab came. And if you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 7 lines from the bottom, you can see where the crime lab had trouble processing the scene. Do you see that? And it reads,
Detective, something, blah, blah, blah.
Crime Lab
technician.
Washington could not process the scene at this time. There's no electricity in the building.
Yeah, I do see that.
So do you know why there was no electricity in the building in January of 2014?
Yeah, I had to pay the bill.
So you had not paid the bill?
Well, I didn't know until my mom disclosed it to me, and then I had to take care of that.
Okay. And do you know how long the electricity had been out?
No, I didn't. I would assume at least 30 days, maybe.
At least. At least. Okay. And then if you go to the first page, it talks about the property that was taken, a flat screen TV,
Cash register,
the
numerous
cash
bottles of
register.
alcohol.
And then it says for numerous bottles of alcohol, it says unknown. Do you see that?
Numerous what?
Numerous bottles of alcohol, and then there's space, it says unknown.
I don't know what that means. Maybe how many? I mean, I don't know.
How many, yeah, it's vague, but apparently your mother was not able to say how many or what was taken. She did not know. Or
Well, I have pictures.
what do you have
I don't have
pictures
it with
of?
me, but I have pictures of the entire bar of the stock from the packaged good as well as the actual bar.
You
But that
have-
was before, you know.
When were those pictures taken?
Well, I have quite a few actually videos. I go through there periodically and videotape it.
When did you last do that, ma'am?
The last pictures I've taken was just before we started doing the bar from this, about a month ago, maybe, a couple months ago.
Oh, okay, so not recently.
No, but when this incident here occurred, I came down to take pictures because I had to for insurance purposes.
Okay, and did you bring those with you today?
No, I did not.
Okay. All right, so the other thing I wanted to talk to you about is the deliveries. The one from February 2013, I think we've gone over this, but I do not view that as a delivery. I just view that as an invoice, cash payment. And then the others that, at least that I have, are just from the period May 23, 2012 to October 5, 2012. And the largest purchase was $86.05, and that was in August 10, 2012. Those are all the invoices. The point being that there's no invoice for 2013 for deliveries of alcohol or beer.
The only one we have that we got was 2013 of February. That was it.
Okay, and that.
And I asked, I did have a can of beer with that date on it, but I didn't have time to go get it. It's in the
okay.
box.
Okay. And so some of the witnesses testified that they drank Hennessy at the bar. Do you have any invoices or receipts that show purchases by your mom of Hennessy for stocking?
Sorry, can you just repeat that? Part of it got muddled by that.
Sure. Okay, so a number of the witnesses testified that they would come to Lil's place and drink Hennessy, which I guess is vodka.
Hennessy is
whatever
cognac.
it is, cognac.
But yeah, so
But so the question is, do you have any invoices that show purchases by your mother for Lil's place of Hennessy?
I'm pretty sure, other than the ones that got destroyed in the fire, but I myself have purchased Hennessy from the distributors. I mean, I have a lot of canceled checks. I mean, my mother doesn't sell everything like fast. It just sits and she doesn't
So
have a
did you
great
bring-
turnover. Well, I didn't know I needed Hennessy invoices. Had I known, I would have bought them, but I mean, I think the last time I actually stocked the bar totally was about $8,000. That was in 2009. So that's still, some things are still there. I mean, she doesn't, my mother has like She might let a few people in the bar. They're older people, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years old. No one new comes in. There's no young people there. So they drink in moderation. Her liquor sits on her bar. She has 1960 prices in 2013 and 14.
Okay. The other area I wanted to talk to you about, or talk with you about, is the tax.
Retail sale taxes.
Right. Let me just get to it. Oh my gosh, I hope I haven't lost it. So for 2013 up through and including September 30, 2014, there is zero liability.
Right.
All right, how could that be if she's?
Because she didn't make any money. So you don't pay tax. She didn't pay any
But
taxes.
people testify that they purchased liquor and beer from her.
It's like when I think her last bill was like $1.24.
But it was absolutely zero for all of
One should be
2013.
$1.24, I think.
Absolutely zero for all of 2013. And some parts of 2011, but for what's important to us, it's zero. It's nothing. And, you know, you've consistently said this was her living. So how do you explain that?
Let me see here. On that one for T3 13, was that $90-something? That was the only thing that she.
Right.
Sales tax returns.
Is this the sales tax returns? Okay, so.
It suggests to me that there's no activity, that there are no sales. Do you see that?
No, because I don't see the.
She turned it into you. This is what she turned this into you.
Okay. So 2011, 2012. Okay, so like 9:30 and 6:30, where you see the zeros at? From January the 13th through July the 14th? Is that what you're referring
Right,
to?
from, let's just say line 7 going up to from line 1 down to line 7, it's zero. No tax liability whatsoever.
Let me see. So on January the 1st of 13, there was zero, all the way up through July.
All the way up to September 30, 2014.
Right. She must didn't file any taxes. She must didn't file any taxes because there was very little being sold, or pretty much nothing being sold.
Thank you very much. I have no further questions.
That's your case?
Yeah.
All right, now, your case, sir.
In regard to the location of the bar itself, the bar is located in the
Did I
Greater
lose my thing
Montgomery.
again?
And this is a time for you to present testimony. That's what you do.
But that's, okay,
You're going to testify and say what?
okay, that the bar hasn't been opened. The bar is located within the boundaries of the Robert Coleman and the Greater Montgomery Community Organization. And that the residents who are homeowners really don't want it there anymore. Can I call my first witness?
Sure.
Okay.
Commissioners, I'm going to, when we get to the final, I'm going to give people time limits.
Okay.
Thank you.
I did.
All right, your name, ma'am, have you been sworn? Have you been sworn as a witness?
No, she didn't raise her hand.
Oh, she didn't raise her hand.
No,
She
she
was
did
coming
not.
around
She
from
was coming around. I was
Raise-
watching you.
Swear the witness, please.
Swear.
So I have to raise it?
Just a
Yes,
minute.
ma'am.
Swear the witness.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, and your name?
Pearl Moulton, M-O-U-L-T-O-N.
All right, questions?
As best you can.
Short person, okay.
Short person. Okay, Ms. Moulton, where do you live?
You want my address?
Yes.
2226 Walbrook Avenue,
And how long have you lived there?
31 years.
And where is that in relationship to the Miss Lil's Bar at 1909 North Pulaski?
The best description I can say, it's around the corner from my house.
Okay. Is it 2 blocks, 4 blocks, 8 blocks, 10 blocks?
I'd say a block and a half.
Okay, a block and a half. And do you frequent Miss Lil's Bar? Not trying to be offensive in any kind of way, but do you frequent Miss Lil's Bar or any bar? Do you go to bars?
No.
Okay, that's all.
I do my drinking at home.
Have you recalled Miss Lil's Bar being open within the past year and a half to 2 years?
No, I don't.
Have you seen Miss Lil or anyone in here today that represent her participate in the community cleanups?
Not one.
Are you a member of the community organization?
I'm the secretary.
How long have you been the secretary there?
Since the beginning, 1981.
Are you aware of anyone from that establishment trying to establish a relationship with the community organization by coming to the meetings?
Not one. Not one that I see here today.
Right, I'm saying the ones you see here today. Not one that you see here today. Okay. Is that establishment within the Greater Mondawmin Coordinating Council boundary and the Robert W. Coleman organization boundary?
It certainly is, and the map shows that.
How familiar are you with Greater Mondawmin to say that this bar is in that area? How familiar? Are you an officer? Had you been an officer at any time?
I was at one point the president of Greater Mondawmin, but the 31 years that I've lived there, I've been a part of that organization also.
Oh, okay. All right. Would you like to see this bar reopened?
No. And one of the things is, we're building, trying to make our community a green space.
Right.
And that little part right next door to that bar, where you planted all the trees last week, we don't need that. We don't really need that, because the other thing is, as quiet as that place is now, as soon as it's open, you're gonna have people hanging outside. It always happens. They are gonna start hanging outside.
Are you aware of any other revitalization that's getting ready to take place in that, excuse me, in that corridor, right there at the North Avenue corridor?
Well, you mean Compton and the Grace Plan is coming
Right.
down that corridor.
Oh, okay.
And they're gonna be, doing some big things there.
Okay. I don't have any other questions. Wait a minute.
Question?
Just ask you a couple of questions. You said you lived there 31 years?
Mm-hmm.
That 31 years you lived there, has that bar always been there?
I have no idea.
So you don't know it was ever there?
Oh, yeah, I know it was ever there. You
So-
asked in the
For
31
the
years.
31 years you're there, has the bar always been there?
I don't know.
So you don't know whether it was ever open or closed during that 31 years?
No. You're asking me in the 31 years,
Yeah.
has it been there? I do know that it was open or closed.
Okay, but during that 31 years that you lived there, was the bar always on that corner?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. And you said you've never been in there?
I do my drinking at
No,
home.
no, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not going to ask you what you drink either. Now, let me ask you this question. Do you know the name of the lady that owns the tavern?
No, I don't.
So in 31 years, you never got her name?
No.
Okay, did you ever talk to her?
No.
You never been in the place?
No.
Okay. Were you aware that there was a fire in that block?
Yeah.
Okay. And you mentioned this lot that you're talking about. It's not right next door to the bar, is it?
Okay, if you come out the bar
Mm-hmm.
and you walk the alley right across the street, that's where the lot is.
Well, if
About 10 feet.
I'll show you a picture. Is that the bar on the corner?
Mm-hmm.
Is this the lot
And
on the end here?
No, No, was this the
Wait a minute,
lot?
one person can only answer, you can't instruct her.
Okay, here's the lot down here,
Yeah, so
right?
it's about 5 buildings down.
Yeah.
Let's submit that. As a, to counter the testimony, she said it was right next to the bar, and it's not.
Are you offering it or not?
I am.
Mark it.
All right.
Benson says.
So, let me just, you have never been in the bar, you never had any discussions with the lady who owns the place?
No.
All right. And when was the last time you were around the front of the bar?
I beg your pardon?
When was the last time you were around the front of the bar?
I'd say maybe a week ago.
I have no further questions.
Okay, any other questions? Questions? None? Next
It's in
question.
your package.
You've been sworn, sir.
State your name.
Have you been sworn?
Yes.
Yes.
You have your name for the record?
Reverend Keith Bailey, President of Fulton Heights Community Association.
Examination?
Reverend Bailey, do you live, next door or up the street or down the street or around the corner from this location?
I live in the 1800 block of West North Avenue.
What street?
1800 block of West North Avenue. Yes, sir, between Pulaski and Fulton. Oh, I'm sorry. Am I too used to preaching out there?
What is your relationship with your location and the Robert Coleman Community Organization?
We all under the same umbrella.
So is the bar in question 1909 North Pulaski in the boundary of Robert W. Coleman Community Organization?
Yes, it is, because part of it, Fulton Heights used to have that part before we signed it over, divided it, and gave that part to, I got a cold, that's why. We gave that part to Robert Henson, Robert W. Coleman. I'm sorry.
Let me say again, many times for the record, that everyone is welcome to come down and present their views. You don't have to be within a boundary line of any community organization. You're all welcome. We're always glad to hear what you think. We're always interested in how close you live to the site in question, of course, and so forth. So, you know, it's immaterial to me whether he's in the boundary lines or not. Glad to hear from him.
All
Or
right.
anybody else.
Okay, all right. One other question. You live in the 1800 block of West North Avenue. Would you like to see this bar reopened?
Well, I'm not a bar drinker. I know what we have been going through between about Oxford Tavern and all the problems there. I can't say yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right,
Any
Reverend Bailey?
Yes.
Now, you said 1800 West North Avenue. How many blocks away is that from this location?
Well, 6, 7, 8, 9 blocks.
9
something
blocks.
like that.
Have you ever been in the establishment?
I went into the establishment a couple of weeks ago because Miss Lila had called me because she was thinking that I was Mr. Cheatham. And I walked around, you asked me.
So that was the first time you were in there?
That's the first time I ever been in
So
there.
you weren't in there prior to the fire?
No, because I don't go to bars.
Okay, so you don't go to any bars?
No, sir.
And the first time you ever met the lady who owns the building was?
No, I can't say. I know Miss Lil for years.
For years?
Yes, walking through, like I said, that used to be my district.
Got it.
So
And
walking through there and saying hi and speaking to her.
how many years have you been in that area?
Well, I've been there about 30 years.
And all those 30 years, Miss Lil's been there, is that correct?
So far as I know, I'm not for sure. I never got into that, how long she's been there, just seeing the bar.
Have you had any problems with this bar?
I don't go into the bar. I didn't really think it was still open, really.
But I'm saying, you mentioned you had problems with another bar. You have any problems with this bar?
Well, no, because that's not in my district, and I'm farther up.
All right, no problem.
Commissioners, questions?
No questions.
Next witness. Mr. Cheatham, question?
No, statements.
Statement, I'm sorry. All right, that's your next witness.
First, thanks for the opportunity. Didn't think I was going to be here quite so long, so it cost me $32, but I think the ticket is worth at least sharing the concerns of the
You should be a
neighborhood.
veteran on that now.
Yeah, how about that? We received a copy of a letter dated November 20 of 2014 from the Board of Liquor License Commissioners that was addressed to Dale Watkins, 1109 Kevin Road. And the first sentence of the second paragraph says, the board expects you to contact the community and business organizations in the area around your business before the public hearing. I want this board to know that we did receive testimony from Ms. Watkins, and she admitted she didn't do such. And she could have contacted either three neighborhood presidents. There are three of us. We're all adjoining. Fulton, Robert Coleman, Matthew Henson. We're very close neighborhood associations. We're actually overlapped, and some of us have given each other's different blocks so that we would work in conjunction with each other. My block actually stops a half a block across the street. So we were not contacted, and
So
that's
your
why I'm
point
saying
is
that.
you weren't contacted.
We were not contacted. The letter also indicates the board will evaluate your application in light of the factors listed in Article 2B. Go on. Then it said the factors are as follows. 1, the public need and desire for the license. I've heard nothing with reference to that. Number 2, the number and location of existing licenses and the potential effect of existing licenses on the license applied for. Well, we have first an international location that is an after-hours joint that sells liquor on North Avenue, less than a block away. We have Upton Liquors, also in the same block of North Avenue, about 3/4 of a block away. On the corner of Smallwood and North Avenue, that is the Fireside Lounge, 2 blocks away. And then they already substantiated that Maceo's Lounge is 3 blocks. We already have a plethora of liquor establishments. Number 3, this is the liquor board's letter. The potential commonality or uniqueness of the services and products to be offered by the applicant's business. This was neither addressed, nor do we think there's anything unique about this business. The impact on the general health, safety, and welfare of the community, including issues related to crime, traffic, parking, or convenience. The reason I showed you the photo of the police blue crime is related to crime. There is an actual police crime light right there at the bar. It's no accident that it's there. I don't think the police department put it there just for show. It's there because that is a crime area right there. That's why I presented that document, because this thing says related to crime. We think, and as I've stated in other hearings, that liquor stores do bring crime. Number 5, any other necessary factors as determined by the board. Well, we thought, and we were looking forward to seeing documents to substantiate that maybe we were wrong, that between 2013 and 2014, that this bar could have substantiate that in fact they are open. Other than that one handwritten document. And if you look at that document clearly, somebody wrote over, where you see the number 3, that isn't an original 3. That is someone writing over top of it. And maybe they didn't write 3 large enough, but if you look at it, it also doesn't tell you what they paid for. That's the only document that has been submitted with reference to invoices from 2013 to 2014. This attorney indicated that he had a room full of folks that lived in the block. Using his word, the block. There was only one. The rest were friends and relatives. We love that. But the people who are impacted the most are the 3 community associations which are adjoining to this area, in specific Robert Coleman. And we're saying very clearly, we have enough. They've not substantiated that they've been open. And when we looked at the tax issue and saw 6 months of them not paying taxes, we're saying that seems to substantiate that they weren't open. I was here last, and I'll close with this. I was here in August. When I left here, I spoke to Ms. Lill. I said, Ms. Lill, I want to encourage you to go speak to the president of Robert Coleman, because we were trying to work with businesses, especially businesses that have been here for a long time. Evidence of that is what we did with Doc's Place. We're willing to sit down with businesses to let them know what our concerns are and why we need them to work better with the community. But it is clear, they've not made any attempt to communicate with us. We asked this board, we feel that we've actually seen, I think it's a total of 440 days that they have not substantiated that they've been open. 180 days is the limit, the state limit. We don't think for 2013 and 2014 they have presented documentation to substantiate that they've been open. They've given us a lot of hearsay. They bring us some people who, for the most part, don't even live in the community. Well, we live in the community. We're homeowners in the community. I've lived in my neighborhood since 1950. I would say out of the 60-some years, maybe 50 of those actually living as a homeowner. Went to school on Walbrook, Robert Coleman. That would be 1956 is when I went to that school. I've been in the neighborhood all my life. We work with neighbors, especially those that I have to say that look like us. We try to support our neighbors. But this establishment cannot show a record that they've been working with the community. They cannot show a record that they've been in business for the last 2 years. At least they can't substantiate 2013, 2014. That's 180 days. We think the 180-day rule needs to be applied.
Let me just ask you a couple of questions then.
Wait a minute, yes, that's right, that's his testimony.
All right. When was the last time you were ever in the place?
I would say I was in the place probably 1999. I was running the Gladiators Association, which is also a bar, and we frequented all bars in West Baltimore.
But
I would
since
say
that
1998.
Since that time, you haven't been in there.
That's right, not in there.
And would you deny that since 1934, since the repeal of Prohibition, there's always been a license there?
You asking me about something from 1934? I can talk to you about something from 1960.
That's what I'm asking. Can you or can't you?
I can't. I can't.
All right,
I haven't lived that long.
When can you verify there was a bar there? How long ago?
I would say probably 1959.
Okay. And it's been there continuously on that corner?
There's been something there that looked like a bar, yes, sir.
Okay. And you indicated whether the place was open or not. You haven't been in there since 1999.
That is correct.
Right. But yet you feel that all the people that are come here or testify that were customers is invalid testimony?
Did not say that.
Okay, that's fine. So I'm asking
Did
a
not say
question.
that.
And then you say that the blue light is related to crime. How is the blue light related to crime? What does the blue light do with crime?
Well, I think maybe you need to ask the Baltimore City
I'm
Police
asking
Department.
you
I'm
where that's
answering.
good.
I'm answering your question. The Baltimore City Police Department labels it as a blue crime light.
Right.
So I'm using the words that the police department
And what
uses.
kind of
A
crimes
crime
have
light.
happened at Lil's?
When you say at Lil's, in the block, I would say
At
probably.
Lil's. I'm talking about at Lil's itself.
I've not been in Lil's, so I don't know
Okay.
in Lil's.
So you have no evidence that any crimes ever been committed at Lil's?
In Lil's, no, have no evidence.
And other than you talking to Miss Lil after the hearing, you've never talked to her since 1999?
No, you must not have listened to me. I spoke to her in August when she was
Right.
here.
Other
That's
than
when
you
I spoke
talked
to
to
her.
her after before August.
Didn't know who she was.
All right.
And I've lived there longer than she had the business there. Never seen the lady.
Okay. And I've never been in the place since 99.
How many times do you want me to say the same thing?
When you were in 99, who owned the place?
I don't know who owned the place.
Did you drink in there?
Of course I did.
Perfect. And along with that, the situation with regard to the community organization that is at this location, what's the name of it?
At this location, I'd say it's Fulton Heights, Robert W. Coleman, and Matthew Henson. Because our neighbors drive through, their kids walk through, they buy. All three of us claim that area.
So the city would indicate that the city designates where community groups are, is that
Yes.
correct? Okay.
And umbrella groups.
Okay. And you mentioned that the fact of the matter is when you look at the records that were submitted, if people came here that testified over that entire period of time, the person who lives across the street and the person who owns the properties, do you discount their testimony?
Well, I think one gentleman perjured himself because unless he's got people sneaking in the back, I went to one address last evening just before today's hearing. Windows open, unless they got a real good heating bill and got a lot of money. 1919 windows were open.
What's the name of the
Lights
gentleman?
dark.
What's the name of the gentleman?
I don't know the name of John. We have his document, Cardone.
And we, you're
what-
saying we, who's we has this document?
My association.
So you think that he could perjure himself?
I know this. When I went there last evening to see if the blue light was on, I rode the houses from 1911 to 1919. All were dark. That one house, 1919, windows were open, no lights on, which gave me an indication, though the other houses next to it were boarded up, that evidently no one was going to be in there. I did see across the street the other house that he owns. In fact, that's actually on the corner, Pulaski and Herbert. That light was in fact on. So I'm saying one of the two properties, at least from my vantage point, was not open, and that's why I asked him the question, was he in fact, were those two properties occupied? I can't say they aren't. There are people who sleep in houses with no electricity and no heat, but I saw the windows open last night.
But you don't say he perjured himself.
I said I think he may have perjured himself.
How many blue lights do you know in the city of Baltimore?
I think the report that I read today is somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe 200 or 300.
So it's not only crime in one area of the city.
No, it's crime in West Baltimore.
I didn't bring the blue light up.
I know, but you're going way, I mean, this is ridiculous. Come on. Get
I have
back
no
to this
further
case.
questions.
All right.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions, commissioners?
No.
Next, any other witnesses? All evidence is in?
I just want to make a comment.
Any closing you talking
Yes,
about?
yes.
All right, so we're at that point.
Yeah,
Hang on.
Close.
All evidence is now in.
Correct.
All right, and now we're closing. Now I'm going to time you for closing.
That's fine.
Just a minute. I'm going to give you, because you are the establishment, I'm going to give you a maximum of 3 minutes. I'm going to give you 1 minute.
Ooh.
And of course, Mr.
Does it
Cheatham
start
will-
now?
Go ahead.
All I want to say is, as the name business in which within the name business is within the boundaries of our community organization. There has been no contact with the owners for community contact. Right now, the health issues in regard to the sale of alcohol, according to the Center of Disease Control and Prevention, identified the short-term and long-term effects: high blood pressure, heart disease, stroke, liver disease, motor vehicle crashes, falls, drownings, homicide, suicide, sexual assault. All of this is related to health issues as a result of the consumption of alcohol. As of November 24th, as they said, we did plant some fruit trees on there. These fruit trees at 1901, which is the address, will be harvested.
Time is up, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, you're first.
Hold on. Red light, yellow light. I'm not going to beat this thing to death on the thing. You know, people have opinions about alcohol.
You got your timing?
Yeah, she's got it. And the only thing I want to point out to you is this place has been there since Prohibition, since 1934. Has anybody had anything that said anything bad about it? Nobody has complaints about it? Half the people that are testifying have never been in the place. You know, it's the way it's open. Who were the people that testified? As you indicated, you don't have to be from the neighborhood to go in the place, for God's sake. You had people here that testified they were in there. They were regulars. They played the lottery. They played the horses. And that's everything. That's a normal thing they go ahead and do. So that's a far cry from not owning a place and being open and being open. And you have to look at the fact of the impact. There's no negative impact on the neighborhood. There's no testimony as to it. There's no problems with the place. A blue light, there's 200, 300 blue lights. The people that are here, Miss Lil has owned the place. She had a fire. She wants to sell it. She gave all the information that she had to give to the board. She was blindsided the last time she brought people in here. People who own property across the street are rehabbing it. So, what? So from that point of view, I think she's proved all that. You have a person who's worked in the place. She's entitled to own the place. Why would you take somebody's livelihood away from them when there's no complaints? There's no complaints about it. There's nothing specific about what they're selling there, except there's a nice place people come. They play the lottery, they play the horses. They stop by on the way home. You saw the kind of people that go in there. It's not rock and roll, hoochie coo type place. It's just not.
All right.
How much time I got?
1 minute, sir.
Marvin Cheatham, Matthew Henson.
Rebound.
Marvin Cheatham, Matthew Henson Neighborhood Association. We would welcome, and I'm certain I can speak for other community groups, to sit down and talk with this family. about some other type of business that will enable them not to lose money if they're going to lose money. It's just that as a liquor store, we feel it has not been open. We do not feel that it's positive for our neighborhood. We're not singling out this particular establishment. We've had concerns with other establishments in the neighborhood. One that was selling liquor, well, two that was selling liquor to children. One that they used as one of their testimonies, Macio's, was convicted for selling to children. We're not going against bars. We're just saying we need to limit them. West Baltimore has a plethora of liquor establishments. We don't want folks to lose money. We think the idea of the barbershop was one that the community accepted. But that didn't come to fruition. We feel 180 days needs to be applied here. They did not bring testimony to substantiate and document that, in fact, they were open from 2013 to 2014.
Just very in rebuttal. Number one, there's a valid license there. Under the M case, this license is valid and paid for. So the 180-day rule does not apply in this case. It was set down by the Court of Appeals. Second of all, and the people that are here indicated that they felt they were outside a community group, but their community is the people that they talk to come and see them. There's no actual thing in the code that says you have to meet with this community and talk with a community group. You'll have cases where one side of the community will be against the other. It's a person that be able to do business.
What are you talking about? The Court of Appeals said that.
In in the Yim case, it said if it's valid under the Baines case, it's a valid license.
Well,
I mean, it could. I mean, I don't want to.
I don't think that case is directly on point, but I go
No,
ahead.
but we're talking
I didn't know
about
what you were
180.
talking
Okay.
about.
Okay, and I think on that basis.
So as far as I'm concerned, that case doesn't
I
apply.
I mean, it's the reason why we have judges and lawyers and
Right.
things like that.
Go
So
ahead.
I think they.
Yeah, I've interrupted your
No.
time. I'm not going to count it against you. Go
I
ahead.
think these people are good people. There's nobody saying anything wrong about them. They're complaining about Macio's. Everybody except about Lil's. Let Miss Lil sell her place. Let her daughter take it over and rebuild it. The license is valid.
All right, time to come for decision. In the case before us, it has come back before us because of a motion for reconsideration, actually two. And I must be reminded that I'm going to limit motions for consideration in the future to one. But in this particular case, we had no such rule. And so we're here on the second motion for reconsideration, which among other things gave us reports of sales of alcohol to this place during the time period. It seems to me from reading the transcript of the prior hearing, which I admit I have very little memory and I don't try to remember these cases, clearly shows there were actually perhaps two issues before the board at that time. One was the competency of the new owner, if there was one, and two, whether or not the bar had been closed for more than 180 days from the time involved in the fire and thereafter. Really, the law is closed for 179 days, and then you have to ask for 180 days after that, so you really almost have a year. In this particular case, the testimony is extremely muddled. It's obvious that, to me, that this bar was open from some times during the time period. It's also obvious to me that this bar has been closed during this time period. I'd have to throw out all the testimony of the people that the bar owner has presented who have been in there, and I do believe almost all of them with respect to their testimony that they have been in there from time to time during the period in question. I must also say that I do also believe the other side in their testimony. There's no question in my mind as to the dilapidation of the neighborhood, and I think the blue light has little or no effect on my decision whatsoever. I'm very familiar with blue lights, why they're there, and why they're not looked at by police as much as they should be. But in any event, so the question comes as to how I balance this. Then we have this evidence. We have this liquor inspectors going there, and I'd have to say that I didn't believe all my liquor inspectors. I believe that when the liquor inspectors went there, the bar probably was closed. I don't have any question about the truthfulness of their testimony. On the other hand, we have the monies paid for sales taxes, and we have a period when the sales taxes were not paid. I believe that the sales taxes may not have been paid for the reasons that they said. There was so little business. It's obvious from the amount of booze bought and the testimony of the people who go in there and found it was open. There's practically no business from alcohol. It's interesting that, however, Mr. Comey has his business operating, and he got another license to do it. And I got a feeling that there may be some gambling involved here. There's no testimony to that effect, but Mr. Komai's business is jukeboxes, he said. And he pays for a $400 license to run a jukebox. I wonder what else is going on. But in any event, it looks to me like that he wouldn't have paid for that jukebox if he wasn't getting his money's worth. Therefore, in finality, contrary to what I voted last time, I vote yes. I think that the bar has proven to me that it's been open sometimes during the period in question, enough to offset the rule of the statutory enactments. I reject counsel's reference to the case that I hear too many times. I don't think it applies to this case at all. I find that the validity of the 180-day rule plus the 180-day waiting period before it is absolutely the law of the state of Maryland and the city of Baltimore and should be applied to this case. In applying it to this case, I find and I believe to a preponderance of evidence that the witnesses that have testified for the bar are truthful. And I also find that perhaps the fire did destroy records, making it more difficult to prove its case. On the other hand, as I said before, I believe the community. But I find that they have not overcome the burden in my mind. Therefore, my vote is yes.
And again, I concur with the judge. And again, I commend the community for speaking up for the community, the representatives here for speaking up for the community. I believe that everything you do in good faith. But again, this is a livelihood, and I'm dealing with whether or not, this is a transfer. I'm dealing with whether or not this person has the character that a liquor establishment owner should have. And I didn't hear anything negative about this individual. And I'm somewhat like the judge. I think this place is needed. It was needed at the time because if you listen to the testimony, people would come through and talk to Ms. Lill. I mean, that's a sense of community. That's how they survive. That's how they interact. That's how they protect one another. And I just feel that everyone here has the right intent, but it's just not right for each one of you. So with that in mind, and it's trying to be fair to everyone, I can't take this away because I don't see the evidence. So I vote that the license is good and the transfer should go through.
And I vote no. I vote no because for a number of reasons. One, there were no purchases of alcohol or beer in 2013. Looks like the last purchase was in October 5, 2012. I view the evidence very differently. I think the evidence is overwhelming that the business was not open. And if there were any question about it, we have the police report from January 6, 2014, where Ms. Lill herself stated that she just comes to the place every few days to get the mail. That there's no electricity in the building. Ms. Watkins testified that there was no taxes paid for inventory in 2013 because there were no sales. She testified that the electricity wasn't on because she hadn't paid the bill and probably hadn't paid it for a month or so. The witnesses that testified, there were 7 witnesses that came in for don't drink at all. They testified that they didn't drink. One testified that he drank brandy, which there were no sales receipts for brandy. There's no evidence of any purchases whatsoever. The jukebox was for sometime in 2014. I don't find that as any evidence at all of being opened for business as a bar. So, and I believe the liquor inspectors that were going out for numerous times and never finding the establishment open. The photographs of Lill's place said that the place was open from, I think, 6 a.m. to 1 a.m., but it was never open when the liquor inspectors went by. So I think there's overwhelming evidence that the license is not valid and the transfer should not take place.
You have our decisions. You can pass that down. Oh my, off I go. I got a big banquet tonight, huh?
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, boy.
I agree with everything you said, too.
I do. I mean,
Well, and it's not her livelihood. If anything, it was a hobby. She had no income from that. It's not her livelihood.
What this means, that means that the value was more or less